What's that? You want another Third Fleet podcast? Well, you gotta go tell Gaijin that. Like, what the hell are you telling me about it? I've already told you guys, listen, I'm down to do Third Fleet, like, whenever Gaijin's down to. But it's not like I can just pull Gaijin out of my ass. Or can I? It's windy as hell. Third Fleet Podcast, episode 81, baby. Let's go. Shields up, Ironbreakers. Welcome back to another episode of the Third Fleet Podcast. This is episode 81. How you doing, guys?
You remembered the episode number.
Well, yeah, we did one not that long ago, so it's fairly easy to remember the episode number. We've done two very close together. Like, people are going to be very happy.
I feel kind of like that scene in Undertale where you walk up to the mirror and you look at it. It says, despite everything, you're still you. It's a relief sometimes. It's been a year.
I've never played it, but...
Oh!
No.
God, you should.
You know, I was actually talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and I couldn't remember if you started playing Final Fantasy XIV... a year ago or 2 years ago?
2 years.
2 years ago. Okay. I thought it was like 2 years, but I wasn't 100% sure if that was the case. But yeah, we're back. We're going to be talking a whole lot about Monster Hunter Wilds, but there's also a couple of more topics that I want to bring up. Before we begin, though, I would like to wish everybody that listens to this podcast happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. All of the things. The plan is to release this podcast on on Christmas Eve. I was going to say the Eve, but I was like, not New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. That is the plan, is to release this on Christmas Eve.
So grab yourself a set of champagne bottles and glasses and hot cocoa and sit back. Get ready.
Isn't champagne for New Year's, though?
Champagne's for every day. Come on.
Okay, every day. I don't think that's a thing, but yeah, that's kind of like the plan. So this is the very special Christmas edition of the Third Fleet Podcast. So hopefully you guys will enjoy. And one of the first topics that I wanted to talk about is the topic of guests.
Better be jolly.
No, it's guests, because a lot of people are always asking about, like, oh, when are you going to bring this person back on the Third Fleet Podcast and all of that jazz. And it's just like we haven't had guests in a while, and I don't think we're going to have guests in a while, simply because it's not easy to plan the show because of our brutal time zone difference. And to try and include a third person on that was already really hard when we did it back then, and it's just going to continue being hard moving forward. So I don't know when we're going to be able to bring in guests again.
No, yeah, I was going to say, it's been hard. It's been really hard for us to even schedule time for ourselves to talk.
Yeah.
So I think emotionally we'd love to. You kidding me? Like, if I had my choice, we'd be talking to cool people like once a week.
Yeah.
But
that
unfortunately
would be
not always. That's the dream, yeah.
The ideal scenario, but it's just like, guys, it's almost impossible to schedule this stuff. Like, even this episode, because of unforeseen circumstances, like, we had one day and then we had to move it around to another day, and it's hard. It's hard to schedule stuff, and that is why it's very hard to continuously bring guests and stuff like that. So don't expect a lot of guests in Third Fleet Podcast, not because we don't want to, because we definitely do. It's just extremely hard with all of the time zone differences and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of people I'd love to meet and talk to if I was so privileged to, but just no time. Like, I was just thinking, like, another person I would love to talk to one of these days, but it's just time zones is. Have you ever watched the channel JCan? It's
I think I've seen some of his content.
Yeah, he does some like hunts with his son, and he does some videos like that. He's like super uber fit, and he's a muscle man, but it's a fun channel. Sharing Monster Hunter with the family, I can attest to, is the best.
Yeah,
but people like that. There's a whole lot of creators out there that are just fascinating people. but it's just time, man. Time zones suck.
It,
They really do.
Go ahead.
No, especially with like the time zone difference changes that you guys do.
Yeah, it's like completely. It almost feels like it's RNG sometimes. It's like, hey, did the time change between us? Like, what's going on? Although Ratatosker has unlocked some interesting technology for me, and now I can do the Discord timestamps.
Oh my god!
I had no idea those things existed when he showed me the other day. I was like, what is this? What is this magic that you have? Well, yeah, there's a website that does Discord timestamps, which just makes things a little bit easier.
Relative time, for the person looking at it.
But yeah, one of the reasons that I wanted to bring that up is because I asked people, hey, we're going to have some community questions in the next episode, so ask stuff away. And a lot of the stuff was like guest suggestions. Hey, when are you going to get this person on and that person on? And it's like, look, guys, it's too hard. Okay.
How about Gaijin Hunter? He's a hard to get guest.
Exactly.
Rurikhan, he's hard to get.
So how's 14 treating you? Because like I see that you guys are still going strong on 14. So I gotta let you talk at least a little bit about 14. It's insane. You keep telling me like, oh, we're gonna be raiding now. What raid are you guys doing? Is it Savage? Are you farming Savage?
Yeah, so no, what we did the last 3 weeks was, as we are at a point where we're running out of things to do, and it's also hard because right now the game is in, a very quiet time, right? It's pre-expansion, everything's been out for a year, so it's understandable, especially with holidays. So it's really hard to get 8 people. You can't even do Savage raids anymore. You can't even do reclears.
Even on Party Finder?
Yeah, there's not enough people on Party Finder doing it. Anybody who has done it has everything. And so the people that are left are all special.
Okay.
And you'd be lucky if you even get a room going. Yeah, you'd be lucky if you ever get a room going. So we just said, you know what, until they release the limitation on that, we're just going to step away because we've done it a lot as well. But so we turned our eyes onto the Criterion dungeon for Endwalker. It's right in the middle between an extreme and savage in terms of difficulty. So it's a 22-minute, 20 to 25-minute fight.
So you've been doing all of the Criterion dungeons because there's like
no,
3 of them
we were farming Sildi because we really like.
So that's the first one.
And we really liked it. And so that item sinks you down to 635. We found some cool people in Party Finder who, we became friends in Discord, and we do that together, and we set up times, and that's a 4-person content. So the thing is in that thing, if you beat it, again, it's super fun and super rewarding.
Oh yeah,
I
did that. I mean, I didn't do all of it. I think the first 2 bosses, if I'm not mistaken. No, wait, because there's a boss, and then there's like a labyrinth almost section where you have to like dodge around the monsters.
No. So I'm not talking. That's the naming's really bad.
That's Criterion.
That's the variant dungeon.
No,
so
that's
different paths through.
That's Criterion. And then there's the Savage version of Criterion.
Yeah, which is the same fight, but the ads are mini bosses at that point. So pretty much if your mitigation is.
So which one are you doing, Criterion or Savage Criterion?
Criterion.
Yeah, Criterion, in Another Civilized Subterrane, you have the rat, which is the first boss. Yeah. And then there's a section where you go through it. It's not really a labyrinth. It's like
okay. So
with the little dudes.
Past the first boss.
Yeah, we did the first boss, and then we did that section after the first boss, and then we had the strategy down for the next boss, but we ended up not finishing it.
Yeah, the second boss is one of my favorite fights in the entire game. To be honest, the Gladiator. He's really fun.
He's pretty cool.
But we've been farming that because if you beat it, you get like 4 silver coins, and if you get 100, which is a lot of clears and a lot of time, then you can exchange it for the mount.
Yeah.
And the chair sells. Not only did we want the chair, but it also sells for like 16 to 18 million gil. And if you're really lucky, you can get it as a drop, but it's like a 1% chance. And so
it's the same thing
after
as
all of our farming, oh my god, yeah. So after all that farming, I think we both claimed our first thrones and used them. And I think we both got about, I want to say 5 additional ones for sale and we sold them all. So I'm sitting at like 150 million right now, and she's at like 120 million. Gil, we're rolling in the dough.
Yep.
But that was really fun. But that takes coordination as well, even though people, but
It's interesting because it's basically like a 4-man raid is what that stuff is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we tried the Savage version, but it's so frustrating. I was like, nah, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got like a hard and rage timer for the entire instance, and the ads, I mean, they're okay, but like if everyone's mitigation isn't totally on point, then you die, and that feels like it's at an ultimate level difficulty, and the reward just isn't there. So the Criterion normal is really fun. I think we'll eventually go back and do the other two, but I was just tweeting. I saw that Hey Jay is going to be starting FF on December 30th.
That was one of the reasons why I wanted to start us off with Final Fantasy XIV, is so that we can also talk. Hey Jay is also taking a bit of a leap there, but I'm not sure that he's doing it in a good way, because my understanding from his video, I haven't gotten around to seeing the whole thing because I've been recording videos all day pretty much. But my understanding from the little that I saw of his video is that he's going to play a little bit now, then he's going to take a break, and then he's going to continue later, I think. Actually, I think he was even talking about playing a little bit of Realm Reborn, but then doing the rest off stream and then coming back to the stream with Heavensward, which I was like, no, don't do that. What people want to see, they want to see the story.
Once you're through the main story quest, you are no longer valuable to us.
Yeah, exactly. Right? It's like, listen, people want to see the story. We need to relive
our experience through you. So
yeah. So it's that's the way that goes, and I want to see the whole thing. I wonder if
he's going to have the same issue I had. I mean, he's got a stream, so there's people watching, so there's support to get through the barrier at the start. But I remember I first installed it and tried it for a few hours with you around December 16th 2 years ago, and then I just I can't do this, and that was it. And then I actually said, you know what, fine, it's the end of the year, I'll give it an honest try. I owe you that. And so I went and I created a EU account on December 30th on that fated day. And I called you one more time and said, help me set this stuff up. And we did that.
Oh, my God.
Because without that setup session, I don't know how I would have survived. And then we got through that. And, 1 month later, it was, hey, how was Heavensward? It was awesome, man.
Just like going through the game at breakneck pace, playing everything, doing all the MSQ.
Not meaning to, but I don't know if it was breakneck pace. I think I was playing at insane hours each day, more than the pace. So I was looking at my playtime. It's kind of disgusting. I mean, it includes AFK, so time when you just have the game on.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton of AFK in there.
But in almost my second anniversary coming up in a week, which is big for me, I think I have 6,100 hours. It's like 7 hours every day straight for 2 years, if you wanted to calculate it.
That does not seem very reasonable, sir, or healthy.
No, well, I mean, I haven't been playing much else. I mean, I did play Baldur's Gate for a few hundred hours there.
Which you're going to be playing with Yuna now, because you guys got the Japanese version.
Yes, it just came out last night. It's so exciting.
How did that go?
Well, it killed us because it's like you're looking. She's been looking forward to the release of this game for like months, literally.
Yeah.
Very interested, waiting. I love the people on Twitter they're kind-hearted and they don't mean anything bad by it, but it's kind of eye-rolling when people are like, "Oh, just have her play in English. It'll be good for her language skills." I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you like one of the hardest, most text-heavy. Difference and throw you in there and say, here, you play it and see how far you can even understand what the hell's going on.
Yeah, tell people, why don't you play it in Japanese? Let's see how it works the other way around. It'll be good for your language skills.
Yeah, you'll come out of this speaking Japanese really well.
No, but I understand why. It's because that's how I learned English. I was just watching movies over and over and reading the dubs. So yeah,
the good thing is that it is
reading the subs.
Subtitled.
Yeah.
So it's subtitled, which means that she's also hearing the English, which is really great, and the English is so good. So.
Reading the English, you mean, right? Because it would be dubbed in Japanese.
No. The audio is all in English, no matter what language, and then everything is subtitled.
Oh yeah, that is actually really good. That is excellent. Yeah, so that's good stuff.
So I think it's going to be a good experience, but. So we were waiting all day for it to like we've been looking forward to it. She got home from school, was all excited, and there was nothing yet, just the PS5 version. And we waited and we waited, and I started tweeting about it because we're like sitting here in like a jail cell, like, come on, man, come on, come on, come on, because we wanted to play the PC version because we want to do it multiplayer, but I don't want to subscribe to PS Plus. There's no point in it, which you need in order to do multiplayer if you're not doing the split screen thing. There are some censorship things that they had to do, but it seems like they actually didn't do much. It sounds like they really only took a very few select scenes and they changed them. So I'm actually pretty impressed on how well it seems they were able to get the game out here versus the ratings. It's kind of impressive.
What happens if she just stakes Asterion first chance she gets?
She won't. She likes him.
What do you mean she won't? You're being a bad influence. She needs to experience the game how she wants to.
I make it, even though we're playing multiplayer, I'm making sure not to vote on any choice, not to get involved. Like, this is her journey. I still plan on doing like 2 more playthroughs in English alone, but I want to experience her first playthrough together.
I would be so happy if she was just like, Asterion shows up, like, sneaking up on her in the night, and she's just like, steak.
I wonder what she's going to do, because we saw him sneaking out at night, but we haven't gotten to that scene yet.
Ooh.
So we started it. We did the first intro dungeon. We grabbed Shadowheart, Asterion, Gale. I'm so happy. She doesn't like Gale either. It's so funny. She's like, he's so full of himself. Like, yeah, sure he is. Like, he is everything and a hot biscuit, but like he knows it all too well, and it's that pompous nature. Even though he's a good-hearted guy.
There's a reason as to why that is. We're not going to get into the details, but like, look, I would be arrogant as hell if I was in Gale's position as well. Yeah. All right.
What's funny is, like, this morning you were asking how it's going, and she said something, and she's like, last night right before we went to bed, you know how like there's that meme of like the person in bed and then they're trying to like say good night to themselves, and then their brain says something, and then all of a sudden their eyes are popped open. I said, wait a second, we forgot somebody.
Yeah, I can tell like, from what you were saying. Like, I know exactly who you forgot. You forgot Lae'zel.
Yeah. I'm like, where the hell is she? So we got to go back and scoop her up.
Poor Lae'zel. I think Lae'zel is, on my next playthrough, Lae'zel is probably going to be my romantic interest. We're going to...
Oh, she's easy. You can get her in bed in like... Was there a speed run of 3 minutes or something?
Hey, don't tell my future romantic interest how easy she is.
I actually like her a lot. I like all of them. They're fantastic.
Yeah, but it's, I think I'm just going to like really go on a murder rampage, me and Lae'zel. We're going to like, listen, we need to restore some order to this planet. We're going to have to take some people out. I'm going to go on a bit of a rampage.
We went as far as that. We went to the camp. She's just learning the basics, doing the same thing I did, which is accidentally ending your turn when you're trying to figure out how to do actions. So, but she had a lot of fun.
What class is she playing?
She's playing a wizard. I'm playing... I thought I was going to do something different, but I'm still a rogue again. Not a rogue, a ranger. And so I had us break in. I said, let's do a small little story mission that I think we could finish before we go to bed. And little did I know that she would do so many different choices than me and fail all of her rolls.
Yes.
For her dice, and we ended up getting into a battle in the first little ruins there.
So you're not safe scumming then. The idea is that she accepts the consequences. Oh, yeah, that's good. That is very good.
And we got our asses handed to us and died. So we game over twice. She realized that she put on a weapon she's not proficient at, so she can't do anything in battle. So yeah, we had to revert back to two. We had a game over, so we had to revert back to a save. But we're not gonna redo any choices or anything.
Wizard is like I feel like one of the hardest Dungeons and Dragons characters to play on your first time around because of the unique nature of learning spells and all of that stuff. Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, but she wants it, so I'll let her have it.
Yeah, I mean that's the way to do it. She always seems to go for the hardest stuff.
I'll be like, wait a second. give me 3 crates. That's all I need. Just give me 3 crates, and I'm good for the rest of the game.
Cheater. Jumping on
I'm a
top
Dow,
of
and I can see in the dark. I've got the ultra dark vision. Give me 3 crates. I'm good.
Look at you metagaming like a maniac. But yeah,
I'll be her little assassin, just shooting people off. It'd be great.
Baldur's Gate is going to be some good times for you guys, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, so I'm very excited.
So recently, I've been, I decided, you know what, I'm going to join Capcom in this Return to World campaign.
Yes, I saw.
I've been making a return to Monster Hunter World, and it's interesting
It
because
was so pretty. God,
it is like
after all the time. It's so pretty.
I'm playing it at 4K. I'm only streaming it at 1440p, but the resolution that I'm playing it at is 4K, so the downscale probably looks even better than it would on a regular just like 1440p stuff. So a lot of people that look at the footage are like, what the hell? How does your stream look so good? It's like, yeah. So I put in a lot of stuff in there. And the interesting thing to me was I didn't know that you could do this on Steam, because I always had this idea where it's like, if I ever go back to World, I want to play it without the Iceborne features. You can just right click it on Steam
and disable
the Iceborne DLC. And it won't even mess with your saves. Like, there's another save in there. The game is just like, look, you can't play this character because this character's an Iceborne. Yeah. But you can just make a character that is only on Monster Hunter World. And the only thing that I didn't like is Clagger is still there, which doesn't make any sense.
Clagger?
Yeah, Clagger. The whole thing, like, you know how when the monster staggers so that you can use the clutch claw? The thing where the monster goes back and starts drooling a little bit? Yeah, that was a mechanic specifically introduced because of the clutch claw. It's still there, even without the Iceborne DLC, which is kind of weird.
Hey, it's a free headshot.
Yeah, it's usually like a free headshot or a nice little lineup for an SAD, because I've been doing a lot of charge blading. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, just jumping back in has been really, really fun. It was a long time since I had played the game, so it was even more fun than I was expecting. And the turnout is insane. Like, there's a ton of people coming in to watch all the time. I was like, why?
Not to mention, isn't the game like stupidly cheap on sale right now?
Oh yeah, Capcom just like made the game giga cheap. It's like the cheapest it's ever been, I think.
Crazy. It's a smart, interesting marketing thing that they're doing. Like, hey, we've already gotten our mass media sales. Let's get more people more invested, and then they'll be more interested in Wilds coming out because it's such a good game. It's a smart move.
That's part of my theory as to why Wilds takes place in the new world. Capcom wants you to play through World so that you're aware of the story of World.
No, I don't think that's it. I think they want the association because World is literally the first Monster Hunter that went truly mainstream and was a phenomenon around the world. So
you think it's not necessarily connected to potentially the next game taking place in the new world? I mean, let's put it like this. You don't think it's connected, but I remember you saying that you also think it might be in the new world.
Oh yeah, I think it's the new world for sure.
But you don't think that the Return to World campaign has anything to do with it?
I think it has a lot to do with it. I just think that it's less about promoting for Wilds because it's so far out. I think it's more about how do we get more Monster Hunter fans? How do we get them more invigorated? And it does help awareness of the new game as well. Yeah. And it's just dirt cheap, so it's a way for them to really kill their profits, but still get a little bit more sales, even though, maybe the sales have already flatlined because they sold so many. So I think it's a smart move. It's really interesting, and that's something that you can do with PC versions,
Yeah.
Because you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to discount it" and piss off all the retailers with their physical copies. You can't just do that.
Yeah, that's
when your lead SKU is PC, then you can do what you want.
That's one of the things that to me right now, anybody that is listening to this podcast, if you haven't yet played Monster Hunter World and you have the opportunity to do so on PC,
now's the chance.
Do it. Like, take the plunge. It is so worth it. I've been having just an absolute blast. The streams have been awesome, and like I'm going through it so slow that like the last monster that I killed, I think, is like Paolumu. That's where I'm at in the story, and I'm like on the 4th stream. I'm going to stream the 5th stream tomorrow. So it's just like I've been taking it really slow to just soak in every little detail. It's been really, really fun going through it again.
Yeah, I mean it's gorgeous. Though I mean, obviously the PC version wasn't there at launch, so like we're
Yeah.
looking at a refined version, but still like some people are negative. They're like, I see that, and then I see the Wilds trailer. I'm like, there's such a discrepancy, and I'm like, I'm the opposite. The original showing of Monster Hunter World was impressive, but nothing like how it turned out so much even better. I was
Yeah.
like, imagine if Wilds is going to look anything like Monster Hunter World. We're in for a treat with that amount of interaction.
It's interesting because there's been comments in both directions, I feel like in my streams, I've heard people say, oh, the Wilds trailer looks way better. And then I've also heard people say, oh,
Oh, I haven't heard that.
you haven't heard that? Okay, so I've heard
No.
that, and then I've also heard people say, "Oh, Wilds looks way worse than Monster Hunter World." You've heard that one, okay?
Oh yeah, yeah. Which is it's a reveal trailer. I mean, it's not. It
It'll be
doesn't
like a
have the
super
visual
early
fidelity and
version.
polish, of
Yeah,
course.
it's a super early version if you take into consideration there's still a full year of development ahead, and stuff like this, like visual touch-ups, animation touch-ups, those are usually like the last things that they're going to be doing. They just have to make sure
Yeah,
that the actual hitboxes are connecting properly, and then polishing the animations would come after that, I would imagine.
I think game development and production is something most people don't understand, nor do they want to, which is sad because I see stuff like I've always said that one of my favorite. I watch a lot of making of documentaries.
Yeah.
Like the Double Fine Adventure was fantastic. The Kickstarter one. My favorite is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, the development diaries for that one. But just like watching development diaries, you can get a really good idea of how games come together and how they're actually made. And it's probably very vastly different from what people imagine. So I wish more people were interested in, the actual development side of it. But I mean, I get it. Mass people enjoy the art, not the artist, So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
So at this point, now that you've had more time to think about it since the last podcast and we're a little bit more further away from the reveal trailer, we've had time to dissect it to the nth degree. Do you think that it is going to be open world?
I think the problem is defining open world. I mean, I think your and Reddit Oscar's discussion was basically the same result, which is how does one define open world? I mean, there's so many different interpretations, so you can't just say that word and people have the same thing in their head. It's totally different. Are you asking, is it going to have more than one? Is it going to have two biomes connected without a loading screen? Or are you saying, are the zones going to be bigger than they were in Monster Hunter World? Or do you mean that we'll get to see other players? Because when I think open world, I'm thinking like MMORPG. Like,
Yeah,
I can see
you're
other
on
players who
MMO
are not
mode
in my
now.
party. Yeah, there's other people who are not in my party who I can see in town or outside. I do not think it's going to be that.
Yeah, I don't think it's that.
Do I think like you're going to have your main town and then just, is it going to be like World, except instead of having to teleport, you could actually just fast travel and walk from one biome to the other? Would it be that big? I don't know. I guess it depends on how you define open world, but
Yeah.
I think
That's the question that I'm making. Are we going to have the biomes connected to the point where you can seamlessly navigate between them? Or do you think that we're going to have basically kind of like World where you have the hub and the biomes, but they're ultimately separated by loading screens? They're
I
just
hope that it's
bigger.
the former. I'll be honest, I hope it's connected because having a living, breathing world and just something that's really gorgeous and dense, we had that in World Iceborne. Like, especially watching your stream, it's like each biome is so well done
Oh, yeah.
that I kind of feel like you don't try to top that. I think I think they're doing the right thing, which is, okay, how do we go into different types of density? How do we go into dynamic changing of those environments in a point where it's less gimmicky, I'll say? Like, oh, hit the tree and it falls over and creates a trap. Like, let's have some things that occur a little bit more outside of your control that you can either use or have to avoid. I think that would be the right and interesting way to lean. And I think that's what they're probably going to do. I just don't think that they can beat Iceborne when it comes to just the density and expression of that specific environment, because they nailed it in my opinion. So I mean, I like what it seems they're doing, which is how do we expand it and make it even more open, free roaming, so to say,
Yeah.
more larger scale expansive, so that they can have environmental events like the thunderstorms or something that might take over the entire place. Maybe the nighttime it changes. I'd love to see that. Like just thinking Dragon's Dogma, right? Like day and
Yeah.
night literally is day and night. Like it's completely different. Like imagine if nighttime completely changes the dynamic of what happens or how you approach things. Like that would be very cool. So I think more than a living, breathing world, I think not interactive. That's not the right word. Dynamic is such an overused word, but I think you get the idea. Like environmental events, and I think having a larger world and more life there is going to help propel that.
Yeah. I think
So
that
I don't know if that answers the question, but I mean, I think it's going to be maybe more open than it's been before, but I'm not sure if it will match the open world definition.
you're not sure if the biomes are going to be connected, is what you're saying.
I hope they are.
Yeah, I hope
do, but
they are as well.
If they're not, I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
The biomes are big and they're dynamic. I don't care.
yeah, exactly. That's the thing that I said. It's not like, oh, the biomes are not connected. I hate this game now, right? It's gonna be like, I'll be happy whether the biomes are connected or not, but I would be more impressed and probably enjoy it more if they were connected. Like I said,
Yeah.
I want to be able to just
Long
straight
play
up
sessions.
walk up into the hub, right? Just walk up in there and you're there. And I think that would be really cool. And I think that with that final reveal of the trailer, as you see the draw distance of the effect of the storm clearing up, I suspect that is them showing, hey, look how far away this goes. Like if you actually
It looks
watch
like the guiding lens. I've said that.
it
looks
just
like
goes into the horizon until you can't see the change anymore. So to me, that's like an indication you'll be able to go to all these places, okay? It's just probably going to be locked off behind progression and whatnot. You're not going to be able to go to the very edge of the map from the beginning. You're going to have to progress through the thing, and I think that makes sense. So because of that, another thing that I wanted to ask you about is, did you get a chance to see the thing that I talked about when I said dynamic traversal?
Probably not.
So with a map like that, one of the things that I said is I don't want fast travel. At least not at the beginning. Like I want us to not have fast travel for at least 80% of the game. Yeah, I know. A lot of people hate me for that. They're like, no, I want fast travel. Screw you. You're wrong. I don't care. But it's like, I don't want fast travel.
Okay, here's the question: Do you not want fast travel, or do you want fast travel to just get you to sort of the entrance of those bigger areas, so that it becomes an adventure after that? Like
no, I don't
trek?
want fast travel at all.
At all.
At all. So my thing is, if you're going to put a mount in a game, one of the things that bothers me a lot with a lot of developers that do open world, and they're just like, oh, I'm just going to slap a mount in here, and now you move 50% faster whenever you're on top of the mount, right? Mount doesn't really do anything. It's just something that, oh, I get on the mount, now I move faster. There are games nowadays that do more than that, wherein mounts become dynamic, and again, you said earlier this is an overused word, but I think it makes a lot of sense here because it's like, you're going through the map, but you're interacting with it. The example that I always give to people is Spider-Man. A lot of people don't like that example, so I'm going to use something different. Say, for instance, your mount has like a little bit of stamina. So in order for you to go uphill, you spend stamina, right? You have to hold down a button, the mount is running, and you're spending stamina going uphill. But when you go downhill, you can do like maybe a couple of inputs where the mount gains even more speed than if it was just like running normally. And then once it stabilizes, because it's got the momentum from going downhill, then it just keeps going faster and faster. Maybe there's something you can do wherein the mount bounces off a wall or something because there's something there and allows you to scratch something or whatever. Or maybe there's a special fruit along the way that you can pick it up like a turbo boost. But basically have that type of interactivity with it where you can get into a flow state as opposed to what we have right now with the Palicos, wherein you can press the button and the palico will do a speed boost, but then it stops and it's very abrupt.
Palamute.
Yeah, the palamute. Sorry, did I say palico? Listen,
Yeah, that'd
it's
be
late,
really. I had a
guys.
really funny mental image.
Riding a palico.
I think it depends on the scope of the area, right? Because if we're gonna say like, okay, the biomes are all connected, and it won't be, but let's just say for fun, it's half the size or even a quarter the size of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Imagine doing that game without towers. It would be hell. Like, that game has fast travel, and it's got many fun ways to traverse. Some ways that are incredibly fast. You can fly. You can do all sorts. It's just gameplay. But if you told me I had to go to the northeast region to hunt something, and you're not going to I have to go all the way through all the damn fields every time, that would not be fun for me.
But what if it's super fast?
At that point, then you're going to lose the realism. You may as well get on a B-52 or ride on a Basil and slap him in the ass and have him turbo boost you or something. I mean, is that not the same as fast travel at that point?
I don't know, because there's something to be said when a fast travel is enjoyable. Like, for instance, World of Warcraft, Dragonflight, they have, they've done this thing with mounts where mounts are actually physics based. So, say for instance in 14, right? What's the maximum flight speed of a mount? I think it's like 300%, right? Or is it 200? It's not too fast, like 300, whatever, which is the same thing that World of Warcraft used to be. If it's not the same, it's comparable speeds, right? So to give you an idea, with the new dragon riding stuff, it goes all the way almost up to 900. Like, you are zooming. So I don't really use fast travel at all. I just like...
Yeah, I think the wire bugs are a good example of that, though, right? Like, the wire bugs are super duper fast.
No,
and you can
they're
use
not.
those
They're not
things
fast
to get,
enough. That's the thing.
Not even faster.
Yes, if you get the interactivity of the mount right to the point where it feels good for you to push the buttons that make the mount move and do special abilities that go faster, you would be able to go like blazing fast through the map.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they would balance gameplay if in order for you to go really far, they have to make it superhumanly crazy fast for you. If you master it, then that would break a lot of the game balance for the immediate area, I think. You'd be like a Valstrax running around.
Maybe when you're in a hunt, you can't go as fast because of the danger of the monster being there, but when you're not
then
in a hunt...
you'd constantly get the brakes put on you. That'd be annoying. I know what you're saying, though.
You're poking so many holes. I've presented this idea a lot of times, and nobody's ever poked as many holes as you did, and I'm like,
See, I know what you're saying, though. Like, when traversal is fun, and it feels
exactly
like an actual... There's a rhythm to it, and there's the flow state you're talking about, then it's not a bothersome event. It's actually quite fun. It's like, give me unlimited wire bugs and I'll be Spider-Man, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's fun. But I think there's gameplay considerations that have to go into, are we making a Bionic Commando traversal game, Spider-Man, or are we sticking to... Because I know we talk about wanting a more analog nature to the hunts, and I think that could stand in direct conflict with that.
Yeah.
Because you're making it overly convenient. But I get what you're saying, and I do hope, and I think that the mount will be more fun. It'll be an actual gameplay thing. It won't just be a means to the end of movement.
Like
it'll actually be fun. Like, I want the little dinosaur birdie thing to... I would love to see it, like, being able to mount monsters or jump off monsters or something, like kick off them, like, booyah, like those little, like, gifs of, like
a Great Macau.
Like the mini, like, pygmy goats that'll, like, bounce off each other and stuff.
Yeah, but like I'm thinking like a Great Macau, how the Great Macau just kind of like kicks, right? They go like,
yes,
just take that kick.
Yeah, I want gameplay with that new companion. I want that thing, just being able to traverse with it and mess around should be fun.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you saw my video where I was tracing the old 20+ year concept of the bird wyvern, the original concept, it seems, where it was inspired from.
I saw I saw that. That was also where you talked about the Llamadur, right? That video, I think. Oh, no.
No,
Wait, those are two
no,
separate
separate
videos. Yeah,
video.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, but I
And
did
just
see
thinking
both of
about,
them. Yeah.
but like there was that old like concept image from like I don't know 23 years ago or something of like, yeah, you carry this really big net bowgun. I'm like, is that what the bowgun is? Is it a giant net launcher? It could be. Who knows?
I think it
I
might
don't
be
know.
a
I
regular.
want I want gameplay with the mount.
Yeah.
I want that to feel fun.
See, I recently talked with Fightin' Cowboy about this, and one of the things that he said was he wants to be able to chase monsters down in the mount. So like, whereas right now, whenever a monster leaves an arena, right, the monster just leaves, and then you're like, okay, I have to go to this place to fight the monster again. Cowboy wants there to be gameplay elements where you'd be going, for instance, he was thinking about the bowgun, and you'd be shooting the bowgun while the mount is running and chasing down the monster. And if you were good enough with that bowgun, you would be able to eventually get the monster to just like, feel like it's cornered and it turns around, fights back, as opposed to going to the place that it was going originally. I think there could be some type of gameplay there and with a chase element as well.
And you know me, I miss Prowlers so much that I'm already starting to think of unrealistic dream scenarios of having smaller monster gameplay where I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if like when the monster sleeps at night, you can have like a mount only mode where you play as the bird wyvern thingy and you go out and you hunt small monsters and stuff like that. That'd be awesome, kicking them and jumping on them and stuff. But I think for that's just me missing Prowler mode. So
Yeah, but I think the problem with that is that it goes against potentially the more grounded nature of these
yeah,
of this version of the game.
Hey, next portable game's gonna be lit, man. We're gonna
Next portable game, the Prowlers are coming back.
We're gonna have the Prowlers riding that mount. Can you imagine that? Like multiple cats on top of that mount running around and
you know what I miss the most with the Prowlers? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Rise they didn't have Wrath of Meow, did they?
They didn't have a lot. There's a lot missing. Because
I miss Wrath.
They're not.
I miss Wrath of Meow. I want him to like be pushing his little cart around and shooting things with it. All right.
Yeah, at this point, it's the only good reason for me to be happy about Rathalos being in the next game is if they had it.
The Wrath of Meow.
Yes.
We want Wrath of Meow. Justice for Wrath of Meow.
Yeah.
All right.
Otherwise, retire Rathalos for a game. If you're not going to put in the tank, then what's the point?
Yeah, we need the tank for the little dudes. Okay, it's only fair. No, but I do miss that tank. I liked seeing them with it. I thought.
But I don't know what you're saying though. A little bit more about like traversal being fun. That's one of the things I really loved about Rise and Sunbreak was how fun it was to just move around the world, especially once you got used to it. Like you can move around places so fast, and
Yeah.
so there just wasn't as much opportunities to use that in gameplay as much as I wanted. But for traversal, it was fun.
The problem with the traversal in Rise and Sunbreak to me is like just thinking back. I'm not saying like, oh, there's this huge problem. It's more like thinking back to it. The thing that bothers me about that traversal system is you can't get into a flow state because eventually it ends. You can't just keep wire bugging around because you're going to run out of wire bugs.
You want a spin-off, Monster Hunter Wilds
Spider-Man.
No, kart, like Mario Kart, where you have all racing down the dunes. You got the Diablos, you got the Rathalos, you got you and your bird, and you've got the Prowlers, and they're all racing each other. And
I'm just thinking like if we have a massive world, they need to make it fun to traverse. It can't just be massive for the sake of being massive, and there's no proper way to traverse it.
I want to get memory into a flow has state. The most. What game outside of Spider-Man would you say you enjoyed traversal a lot as a gameplay mechanic?
I mean, like World of Warcraft because of the mount stuff that you can just go super fast, but that's more of a because it is a mini game in and of itself. Because, like for instance, you get on a dragon, you're going up is a challenge. You can't just like go up. You have a stamina gauge that you need to consume in order to go up, and it runs out. So you go up a couple of times, and then you need to go down, in order to gain speed. And the thing is, as you're going up, you lose speed. As you're going down, you
Blizzard
gain
Flight
speed.
Simulator.
Yeah. It's
You got the left wing and the tilt.
it's really cool. Like, I actually hope that Final Fantasy XIV steals that, which originally Blizzard already stole that from Guild Wars 2. And I'm like, okay, and now Final Fantasy XIV steal it from Blizzard as well.
Inspired by.
Yes.
Heavily inspired by.
It was inspired. Sure.
And then you can add your own touch on top of it.
Yeah, exactly. That, like, put that in 14. I want to be able to fly like that in 14. But yeah, that one instantly comes to mind. But like, if I go to something a little bit older, let's go to something a little bit older. And in here, it was something super simple, but it was Xenoblade Chronicles X. So Xenoblade Chronicles X, one of the things was, for starters, your characters just moved faster than would realistically be possible. And there's a story reason behind that I'm not going to get into, but there's a story reason why your characters move faster.
Basically,
but on top
it's
of it,
anime as fuck.
No. There's a different reason that is not just because it's anime, but they move fast as hell, and on top of it, they jumped really high. And so that made traversal fun, because you would be going into these areas that you're not supposed to be in, and you would be finding like places that you would be able to platform into because your characters just jump unreasonably high. And it was cool, and it made traversal fun. And it's two super simple things, which is your characters move fast and they jump high. That's it, right? And that made traversal really fun. But there are other games that have fantastic traversal. But yeah, the thing here is not just about the traversal, it's about including that mount in the traversal. And for that, the best example is Guild Wars 2. So, for instance, in Guild Wars 2, you have a mount, and like your very first mount hops forward. Like, that's its movement ability. It just jumps forward more than what you would expect. And then you have another mount, which would be like a bunny mount, and that one jumps higher. So like, whenever you need to go over obstacles, you go into the bunny mount. And then you have like flying mounts, like where one of them does the swooping thing that I'm talking about in World of Warcraft. And then you have other mounts that fly a little bit more stable, but there's always systems and mechanics to how stuff works, and that makes it enjoyable.
You know, this actually just got me thinking about something really dumb, which was how cool it would have been if in Rise Sunbreak they did something where they had like 3 different types of wire bugs, which had a difference in traversal. For example, like maybe a red wire bug had a really long string, but had a larger recharge timer or something, and then like you go like Spider-Man or something, or
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, traversal being fun, I think is rewarding. I think that'll go a long way.
I certainly hope that they do something with, because I don't want the mount to just be like, well, you move 50% faster and that's it, and you glide. And I also hope that there's some type of progression to it, so like you progressively would unlock more movement abilities for the mount, because that would make it interesting. I feel like one of the things that I was discussing as well is potentially allowing it to go through. I say tadpoles. It's not tadpoles. It's lily pads. Going through lily pads in water to go faster. So like if you were fighting in an area that has a lot of water, you would just like bounce, and go faster.
I do hope that they don't make things too overly reliant on it, though, because there's a lot of people out there, myself included, that, for example, in Elden Ring, I can't fight on a damn horse. I just can't. So I like where Yuna will do most of that game. She'll do most of the engagements with the horse. I'll get right off and fight.
Me too.
And I would be afraid, like underwater as well, right? If you make it too dependent on one method, then people who don't like the method would be kind of turned off. But I think the mount is going to be the big thing that we're all going to be curious about to see going forward.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait at least half a year.
Yeah, there's still a long time to go.
So go play Monster Hunter World.
Yes.
Baldur's Gate 3 and Final Fantasy XIV with the critically acclaimed.
Now it's got Heaven's Word and Stormblood is part of
Which
the base.
is crazy.
That's such a ridiculous value proposition. Yeah. So my other topic is, again, now that you've had more time to dissect things, ancient civilization, yes or no? Is there an ancient civilization there that potentially put the lightning rods in there, or? Did you see?
The idea...
By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you see the Davi Vosk video?
Yes, I loved it.
Did you see
I love
how
all his videos though.
he also brought up
Yeah,
the
he
exact...
picks up on everything, which is also a testament not only to his ear and his ability to convey and articulate it, but also the composers. Like
Yeah.
every one of us, from layman like myself to a musical person, are feeling these same emotions when we're hearing the song, which just shows I think it just is a testament to the power of the composition, which is great.
But see how he also
But
brought up that the beginning of the soundtrack is very
feels
alien to
alien.
Monster Hunter, which is the exact... I was like, yes, it didn't feel like Monster Hunter. It was weird. So he brought that up as well. And then he used the exact words, ancient civilization, potentially more advanced civilization.
I don't know whether or not anybody would agree with my take on this.
Ooh,
One,
here it comes.
ancient civilization, there or not, it's always been there. That's been since the original Monster Hunter. There's always been the idea of world building being done through environment and not so much over your head storytelling, but just like hints of like, there was once a civilization. There's ruins. There's mystery behind it. There's headcanon availability. Like they weren't going to go too heavy on it. I think Frontier actually did go a little more heavy. I saw some of the names of some of those locations and it was like, whoa, okay. They're going sci-fi with this, but I think the idea of like there was an ancient, that you can't get rid of that. That's part of Monster Hunter. But whether or not they would actually,
if they are
start
in that
featuring
zone,
more elements,
yeah,
I would not like it. I think. I mean, I don't know until I taste it, but I have trauma from the movie still. The Hollywood movie.
yeah.
I don't care that it wasn't Capcom, but that seeing already an example of an application of ancient technology and portals and stuff inside of Monster Hunter, I did not enjoy it. It felt wrong. Horizon as well. Story-wise, I loved the idea of like the high-tech, like the old world, right? That was like the reverse, right? They had like they're in like a primitive world, but it was very advanced way back when.
Yeah,
and
it was very
I guess it's
advanced.
not the reverse. It's the same,
It's
but
the same
in your
thing,
face.
Yeah.
But it started becoming like a really big thing later in the game, right? Like it just kept getting expanding and expanding and expanding to the point where it's like, this is a sci-fi game now. And I don't want that in Monster Hunter. I think the beauty is you go back to that very first advertisement that they ever did for the game. It's just a huge ass bone and a small little hunter, and it says, "You eating meat?" He's like just sitting there roasting. But I think they really hit gold when they said, you know what, let's keep those elements because it allows us to not
Mysterious.
have to overly. We don't have to explain everything, and we can give a hint, and we can introduce new elements that may be a little alien, but it works because that's just like the world that they live in. But let's keep it more, I guess, grounded was the word we've all been using, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the secret sauce of Monster Hunter, and I think if they start stepping away from that too much and trying to feature ancient technology and stuff like that too much, I think you lose the mystery is one thing I don't like.
But
and two, I think it just changes the theme.
For my hypothesis, you don't necessarily have to lose the mystery. It can still be like all mysterious. I'm just wondering, could there be the potential of having the ancient civilization there? Yeah.
I wouldn't want it, to be honest.
You don't want
only
it.
just because I don't want it. At least I don't think I want it. I mean, again, I don't know what that might look like, but from just thinking wilds and the whole idea that there's less human intervention in the areas we're about to go to, and it to be more like not a Wild West, but like a true frontier. Like we're going into unpaved areas where in the past we've gone through, it's like, oh, we made a campsite here, or the third fleet was here, or the first fleet were here, and there's all degrees of exploration, and we get to benefit from some of that. I would love it to not have that at all.
Yeah.
Like I know we're going to have it to an extent because we have the lightning rods in place and somebody put them there. I don't know whether or not the player puts them there. That would be interesting. Like that's a progression thing. So instead of setting up towers, like
puts them there, yeah.
Yeah, like maybe it's not not like Assassin's Creed where you go to the watchtower and you start or the towers in Zelda and checking them off, but maybe we stabilize zones, right? And we make them actually huntable zones by
We
going
bring in Wyverian
adventuring,
engineers.
and then using the materials from small monsters and ores and stuff to have them build rods in each area, and that makes it kind of like a now inhabitable, huntable areas because we don't no longer have to worry about getting zapped by lightning. But when I think of that, I'm like, well, then that would make the core gameplay really frustrating. You go into a new area and you get zapped to death. That's not fun.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I don't think Ancient Civilization is what I want because at that point, I think it goes away from the word wilds too much.
Good.
And
point.
then any of the primitive stuff you're doing, it starts to feel kind of stupid. It's like, if we've got like this cool ancient technology with dragon's breath, rods of fire, lightning, like, and I'm sitting here with my little hunting knife just carving shit up.
Look, that hunting knife is really sharp. That thing will carve anything. Okay.
I mean, like, yo, bro,
it's like the
give me some
secret
of that
weapon.
technology, man.
So keeping up with the lightning stuff. One of the things that I've been thinking about is, you know how when we see the lightning that is chasing us, when we're running away. So initially I was thinking like, ooh, maybe wyvern in the sky shooting lightning down at us. What if the wyvern is underground? Because you've been talking about the llamador in your other video. And here's the thing. I'm not familiar with the llamador. I've never hunted the llamador. Could it potentially be the llamador underground causing the lightning to strike in a position like that? No? Okay. I was just curious.
I don't think so, no. Yeah, and that was a more tinfoil hat, way out there thought experiment with what the serpent-like nature might be, but I actually would prefer it more if I know in the end they'll probably tie it all to an elder dragon or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's always the thing, right? Like something's going on in the world, and
we think it's
ultimately
this
gonna be
thing, but then there's an elder dragon on top of it. Yeah.
I would prefer it if it's not like that this time.
Interesting.
Because I mean, it kind of stops making sense after a while, right? It's like, okay, we beat the game, we beat the story, we beat the wyvern. Why are we still seeing lightning storms? You know, it's like, but no,
it's a
because it's a
mystery.
gameplay mechanic.
There's an elder dragon.
Maybe there's more than one, right? There's 3 of them.
You want something
Wouldn't
different
it just be
this time
nice
around.
if that's just part of the environment? Like that's just something that happens there.
Oh, it's just a zone thing? It's not caused by an elder dragon?
I don't think we need a supernatural explanation for everything. Where some monster is the one who's causing it and we've got to deal with that. Because I mean, I don't know. How does that benefit the monster, right? Like, oh, I create crazy-ass dust storms and lightning that kills stuff. Like, as an elder dragon, I don't know how that's a benefit to that monster.
Well, because it kills everything in its path, and then it can go it's like a buffet.
If it's an elder dragon, it shouldn't have to worry about like doing it all obtuse like that. Just go in and just eat stuff.
True.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little worn out with the whole like, hey, let's do 2 hours of cutscenes going, I wonder what it is. Well, we're all like,
it's an elder dragon,
man. It's a new monster. Like, stop trying to dress it up too much. Like, just get on with it. You know, like that's.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is gonna sound blasphemous, but I don't. It's like how I like my coffee. I don't take my Monster Hunter for story and lore. I love the world building.
But I want it.
I love the universe. I love the possible backstories, and I love like the legends that exist. But
you just want to hunt some monsters.
Like, look at Iceborne. It's like some of those cutscenes are like 10 times longer than they need to be. They're being overly dramatic. They're really acting them out, and it's like at the end of the day, it's such a simple story. It's like you're overplaying it at this point.
But that's the thing. That's where you and me differ, because like I keep wanting for a story that explores the dark side of the guild. I want guild conspiracies, dude. That's what I want.
Yeah, but you want story that has actual story, but they never really give that in Monster Hunter.
They don't.
They give a whole bunch of fluff on how to explain one little situation. Like
I need a side
the
game where I'm
handler
like
going on and on about, oh, my grandma, like,
I want to
oh,
be a
she's
guild
down there
knight
forever.
I want to be like a
I would-
guild knight that, like, you know, a different game where I'm a guild knight and I'm actually, you know, you encounter some illegal hunters or something like that, and you have to like punish them in accordance to the guild, and you find out all of these crazy things as to how the guild operates, and you learn more about the guild. I want something that explores the guild more than anything, like secret stuff.
That would be a nice spin-off title, I think.
Yeah.
Go back in time, and you are part of a secret, you know, part of the guild that explores the forbidden. You know, you are the red-robed man. You know, you are the
Exactly.
or the scarlet or whatever it's called. And yeah, I mean that would be interesting, but I wonder if they would run out of ideas just for the fact that I think some of their ideas for the guild have been interesting, but like their execution of like the guild in Iceborne around Fatalis and all that, it feels so surface level. I don't think they really have fleshed out an idea behind
Yeah, but that
the guild.
see,
I
would love
just don't think they're good at it.
I would love to get more tidbits of that in a mainline monster. So I don't want like the whole guild conspiracy stuff in this game, but I want it peppered through it.
Okay, well,
you know?
let me ask you this then, because this has been a point of I liked it when they did it, but then because it went nowhere in retrospect, I don't like it, which is they tried hinting at something deeper going on with the guild or the monsters with Alatrion and Fatalis, right?
Yeah,
There
not
was that
just then,
whole-
but like I've seen more stuff in older games
They
as
had
well.
those comments like after you killed Alatrion, they're like, "But why would they hide it?" You know, and there was like
yeah,
these
exactly.
sprinkling hints of mystery of not of an ancient civilization, but something going on right now. And then they just left it. They didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, they're gonna build
And I'm
on
like-
it in Monster in the Wilds, guaranteed.
The hell, man. Like I agree with you. I would love a game that actually is story driven, that goes really deep into the lore and the what ifs of the guild, because the guild seems to have their hands in everything. They're like the Men in Black, but they also are
Exactly.
incompetent. They're also incompetent as hell. So
Are they?
you know how unimpressed I was with the guild with the whole Fatalis incident. Like they are just morons in my. I just don't think they're good. I just don't think they. I don't want to say they're bad at storytelling. I just don't think that they've done it enough. I don't have confidence in the Monster Hunter team when it comes to creating an actual narrative.
I don't know.
I think they're great at character development. They're fantastic of world development, but
four was good.
story.
4 was good.
Four was good for its characters, but its story, like the actual progression of events,
And
was
you
it
go-
that good? No.
You go on a road trip. It was fantastic. I had a blast. What do
No,
you mean?
it was take the story, take out the characters and like what made those things
Well, I think
memorable,
it-
and just look at the actual progression of events. It's really unimpressive.
But just like look at what you said. Take out the characters. I mean, what the hell? This is like, oh yeah, let's do John Wick, except take out John Wick. What?
No, how do I explain this better? I need more coffee.
I mean, the characters are a part of the charm.
I mean, you get it. Like I said, world building and character building, I think they're great at. But like the actual, you meet up in Valhabar, you find a guild, that was cool. You guys go out helping the Cavalier look for clues towards an artifact. Okay.
Yeah.
You go to Hearth. They're all down. There's a monster. You kill it. They build you a boat. You leave. There really is no story beyond that. It's very surface level. It's charming because the environment and the characters are interesting, but the actual events of what you're doing is basically go to a new village, kill the monster, go to the next village, kill a monster, go to the next village, kill a monster, at the end.
But it was still good because of the events that take place. I mean, sure, maybe it's not the most. I'm not saying it's the best story ever, but it's a cool story.
Like Little Miss Forge, let's take her.
Yeah.
She's like the only human in the village of Hearth.
You mean
why?
You mean Manale?
No.
I'm
That's not her.
joking. I'm joking.
I know.
I've
Don't
seen-
don't you kick up the stuff.
I've
You
seen
are
that
evil,
stuff.
my man.
I know. I've seen this stuff, and I was like, when people started saying, Oh yeah, Manale's little misfortune. I was like, no, wait, I've been thirsting for a Manale. You can't do this to me. Stop.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Stop right now. There's some severe implications with
But like,
this.
but like, how much did we explore the history or the actual culture of the Travarians? How much do we? Why is she even there? Like, how did she get there? What is she doing there? Oh, we don't get to explore any of that. We go there and
I
we
want to
see
be
like
a Travarian next
I
Monster
think we
Hunter.
get, like I said, I think the world building is fantastic. There is the capabilities to do an entire story in just that town.
Yeah.
But they don't do anything there. That's what I'm saying. Is like they set up the set pieces really nice, but they don't go very far with any of them. They're just really nice set pieces, and you could have a whole anime series on the Chico Sands, in my opinion. Like every area has got life, but I just don't think that they do story-driven stories. I just think they create a game.
I mean, I don't need like
setting's a horrible word, but
I don't need like a super narrative, but I do want something closer to what 4 was than, the other games. But yeah,
I like 4 because the adventure was there.
yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
I love the adventure.
See new places, go to places. It's cool. I thought it was good.
I also think that might, and this is such a sad thing to say, but this has been my feeling about. But then again, FF14's proving me wrong. But my feeling, like when I said I was divorced from Final Fantasy, like one of the reasons was, and we talked about this, was as games got more expensive and larger to make, you couldn't just make 50 different locations that you're going to go to. It had to been like 10, and they're just going to make them really deep and detailed, right?
Yeah.
It's like I miss it when it was lower cost to create a new environment. It's still expensive, but like they created so many new villages and places to go to in Monster Hunter 4 because it was portable and the asset creation pipeline was not nearly as complex as it is now. And my only concern is that with AAA development, the way that it is, it's like if they're going to go all absolute ancient forest on every area, then they're not going to realistically be able to create like 8 to 12 locations that we can adventure to. They can't have a location that's mainly used for just one part of the story and then almost never used again because it would make no sense. I wonder if that's a relic of the past, that we were able to enjoy games that had such adventure of the scope of how many, just constantly going to new areas and stuff. Is that because it was not as expensive to make areas back then? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something I noticed with FF and other games. It's just that each scene got deeper because they had to go through all the effort to make the assets for that. So like character dialogue became longer and more bullshitty, and like the locations were great.
Then you spend more time in there because
Then there was more fetch missions or something like that because each area took so much more effort to create that they just couldn't go to more places. They had to go to less places but spend more time there. And so the adventure aspect to me was lost, and it became a soap opera where in a lot of RPGs, the characters are just spending a lot of time talking and talking way too long about stuff. Where you look at not the same budget probably, but like lower fidelity, look at like Bravely Default. That was an adventure. That was fantastic. Like we got to go like across the entire world. We went to different continents. We went to different areas, different towns, tons of towns. Like that was a true Final Fantasy in my opinion, outside of its name. But then again, you get games like FF14 or, where it's really expansive and there are a lot. I mean, it is still technically only 6 areas per game.
Yeah, but that's like multiple expansions worth, which is why it feels bigger. But
exactly, yeah. So I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I just feel the more that you have to spend to create one area, that you're not going to get 30 areas, and it's not going to be a huge adventure.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. I mean, we're getting better interaction with each environment, but like, I don't know, like, what's a good example? Another one.
At which point is the visual fidelity more important than the length? Not the length, but the number of locations that you get to see.
I personally love variation. To me, it's something that, because they don't go so deep in story in these locations, I think this is also why I agree with you that Monster Hunter 4 was so good, is that you kind of get like this each village and location you kind of like there's the music, there's the different color palette, there's the different types of monsters that you're facing. Everything about it feels different, right? And you sort of it becomes your new home for a while, and you let it seep in, and it becomes like this is my place, this is where I'm hanging out and doing stuff, and then you move on and you never go back there, but because that's okay, that's what made it so special, right? Each location was given its own time to shine, and they didn't linger on having you go back. And so everything felt like, wow, there's like these incredibly cool little nuggets of things that are just all around the world. They're all significant. It's not that they're insignificant and there's many of them. It's that they're all unique. And I like that. I would be happier with lower density and lower fidelity if it meant
more
variety. More variety, yeah. But that's just...
The thing is, it doesn't work with the current theme, right? Visiting multiple villages when you're going to the wilds, it
doesn't work at all.
It doesn't really work.
So that's a task for the next portable game.
Yeah.
For the portable game team.
But
give me some adventure.
The other thing when it came to going into the wilds, one of the things that I started thinking about is, what if instead of having a traditional hub, we would have something like, what was it called? The Soratorium? And GU, the ship.
Oh, yeah.
What if we had a ship?
A literal pub?
Yeah. We just have like a huge ass ship, right? So we have an airship hub, and you'd be able to place it in different positions of, like, again, if assuming that this would be an open world with the biomes all connected, you'd be able to position the airship in different locations. Are you on board with this?
Okay.
Or?
I like the idea, but I would to take the Monster Hunter 4 nostalgia, I'd say, and also to ground it so that we're not constantly like we're in airships. Why not have a caravan with a cast of cool characters, and the caravan could potentially be anywhere. So you say, hey, caravan should set up camp over here, and that becomes the new location of the hub town.
But in the ground, it's dangerous. That's why I wanted it to be in the air. You could have the whole caravan set up, but on an airship. You don't like airships, Gaijin? You didn't like the sanatorium?
I liked it, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It's in the middle of the clouds, so the immersion is zero for me for that. I don't feel like I'm part inside the world. There's no danger whatsoever. It's just a safe...
Now, who says there's no danger?
Well, yeah, there's danger, I guess, but I mean that would be cool if they added in like
like imagine fighting on the airship potentially.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
I would. I'd be down with that.
Yeah, see, like I was thinking that there could even be even more functionality, but then I started going maybe a little bit too far because at one point I'm like, what if we could order airstrikes?
Oh, good God.
Imagine it's just dropping Dragonators. But then I was like, no, that's maybe too far. Let's not go as far as dropping bombs from the sky. Like, that'd be a bit much. But I was thinking about potentially having like some kind of advantage, being able to like relocate the airship to different places, or maybe it changes places depending on. Yeah. That's the thing. I was thinking of how much I enjoyed the concept of being in the Soratorium, and you had the ship on the left, which was like your smithy, and then the ship on the right, which had the room. No, ship on the right was like the pub, right? I forget.
Yeah, it was the pub, yeah.
Yeah. So you had like these different functionalities with like these different airships, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I think it'd be a nice little theme for you're going into the wilds. There's no safe place here. So instead, you just have like this ship that, and the other thing was, the same way that you customized your room in Iceborne, you'd be able to customize the ship, and it would have an in-game effect. So it could even have gameplay implications. So like, you chose this upgrade. That means that, I don't know, you get some type of bonus in game, right?
Yeah. I love the idea, but I would, devil's advocate, if there's such a functional airship, then why are we riding on a bird? Like all the traversal.
Because the bird is faster
than an airship?
Yes, because the airship is big and bulky and it takes long to maneuver, and the bird is just faster. So like for you, because for you to position the ship, like the Soratorium, right? You're not going to be like, oh yeah, just take me over there. Because the Soratorium's a big operation. There's a big crew there. You're not just going to be like, oh yeah, we need this hunter to go hunt over here, so we're just going to go fly there, right? Takes fuel, takes resources. Whereas, running around the bird, it's free.
Just feed it, kick him in the ass, pet him a few times. We're good.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I don't know. I just think that there could be something that they could do with an airship. Whether or not they're going to do it or not, I have no idea. It's just, again, me spitballing, throwing ideas out there of things that I think would be fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, Astera did the right thing when it came to decorating a ship. They had the banked ship as the hunter's hub, and they did really fun decorations and stuff for that, for all the events. So I like that. It had no functionality beyond that, but hey.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I wanted to reflect. So, like, let's say, for instance, I go to your game, your ship would be different than mine, and your ship would have potentially different functionality. Like, maybe your ship gives you some type of, it produces more flash bombs. I don't know. Just
we can save this. We can save this for the Monster Hunter MMORPG. That's the perfect element for it.
We already had that one. It was called Monster Hunter Frontier.
You just cruising. You look down. You see a slithering monster. You parachute out. You drop down. The hunt start. And 32-man raids start.
We'll see how that. But it's like I would like to. I think it would be great to have an airship hub. But it's whatever. I'll take whatever I get. It was just something that I was curious about. So, where do you land on potentially the mount being a portable camp?
Sure, why not? The functionality seems like it would be quite limited, but as we talked, I think it would be nice to have a hub that is a base that you can recharge anything and then go out, but then you have to set up intermediate camps in order to really get into the wilds. I think that would be cool, and that would bring back some more player choice of, yes, there is a portable camp you can go back to restock to a limited degree. That would be awesome. And that would give me a sense of adventure if I'm going out and I'm like at least 10 minutes of gameplay traversal from the original hub. That adds in a lot of
Which
tension,
is why we can't have fast travel. See, that's what I'm talking about. You can't have fast travel.
Well, I mean, you can have fast travel to the hub, but then from there, then you go into actual areas where you need to set up portable camp. But you can't just say no fast travel whatsoever. You want to go from town A to town B, you got to walk it, boy.
Yes.
Like, I say I'm still in the mindset that there'd be more than one hub. There'd be other areas to start. Like, if I have to go through the sandy plains every time I want to go to the wintry mountains, that would be a pain in the butt. Like, I don't want 20 minutes of traversal just to start a hunt. But
fair enough.
I think that's just word salad and definitions at that point. I get what you're saying, though. Fast travel is a different thing than that.
So, one of the coolest features that we got in Rise was the switch skills. Do you think that we should have that make a comeback? Because here's an interesting thing.
I wouldn't be against it, but I don't want them.
Interesting. This is very interesting because, I always thought, and I think we even talked about this in the podcast, and you said, yes, switch skills need to stay, but now you're changing your mind. And it's interesting because I always thought that I've heard from most people that oh yeah, we definitely want switch skills. So I make the video and I'm like, okay, we need switch skills for wilds. And then there's actually a significant amount of people that
I think I changed my mind.
Oh,
because my thing is I was in my head, even during that conversation, my head was still on the scrolls, and I was confusing it in my mind between the two of them. And I think having the scrolls is a no-no. I think it's too much complexity.
Scrolls is definitely a no-no. Yeah, I agree.
But as I think about it more, and I think I've let it sit in, I wouldn't mind if there's the ability to customize your moveset, like with switch skills. I mean, basically it's like Devil May Cry at that point, right? And Dragon's Dogma does the same thing. You could swap out some of your core combos or moves or whatever. I'm fine with the concept, but I do miss the simplicity of It's tough, right? Because I mean, it used to be like there's one way to play the weapon. I mean, there was
Yeah.
never one way, but I mean, the fact that the moveset was set meant that a lot of people would over optimize it and only played in this, charge blade was only for doing
SAD.
ultras and
Yeah.
or whatever. And so I get where like adding in skills allowed them to customize it so that there's not just one way to play the weapon. And I thought that was cool. I wonder how many players actually engaged with it though.
See,
I really would love to know the metrics of like how many people actually mess with it. Or then again, was it balanced or not is another good question. Like for example, like
there was a lot of
blades,
situations where
dual
it
blades
wasn't.
had that thing where it's like you do 100% crits in demon mode and stuff like that. It's like, why would I ever not have that on? Like, there's nothing that compares to it, right? Or
So
some
like
play styles were so quirky that I don't know if anybody actually used them.
in in Gunlance, for instance, one of the easiest things is because we have Chaos Slayer that does all of the Gunlance math, but basically there's never any reason to use charge shells. It is just straight up.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I love the idea. I just wonder if the game balance, it felt better back when there was one move set. And that could just be
See,
a
the
feeling
reason
I'm having. I don't know.
the reason I liked it as much as I did is because I still have memories of going through Rise and being like, oh, I unlocked a new thing for my weapon, and you go and you check it out, and you say like, oh my god, this is cool. So it's like when you get to the end of the game, it's not as impactful, but I still swapped quite a few things around. So like, for instance, if you're playing wide shelling, I would always use guard reload because you go like, bam, bam, guard reload, bam, bam, guard reload, right? And if you're using normal or long, I would always go quick reload because it'd go like quick reload, boom, slam, burst, right? So those two I would always
But I mean,
swap
for
around.
like, what if that were, removing player choice is a horrible thing to even contemplate. So I know people are probably going to be like, what the hell is he going on about? But I'm playing devil's advocate, okay? So, like, if you're saying it always makes sense to use guard reload for a wide or this for normal, why don't just make that like wide is its own
Because
thing
there
and
were
that's what it has.
because there were also niche play styles where people would also do full burst wide, and they would use that was even weirder, but there was a time where people would do wyvern stake spam with long shelling, which is really it was a really
Yeah.
weird
I
place.
mean,
It was like charged into wyvern stake, charge into wyvern stake, and it was weird. And then you would do guard reload because that also reloads the stake, whereas quick reload doesn't. But yeah.
I love the idea that there was like 2 to 3 like fusion types of way to play a weapon, but I almost wonder if one, the engagement percentage, I don't know how many people actually used the stuff or the balancing, and I wonder if that amount of time and effort, if they just went down and said, okay, what play style are we? There's obviously some play styles that, some archetypes that people want that they're not giving them, like the counter or this or that or whatever. I would rather them put their energy into introducing a new weapon or two than to overly
Okay.
diversify each
Okay.
weapon and then have
If
it be
you're
completely unbalanced to the point that everybody's going to use this. They're not going to use any the other one. I love
if
the
you're
choice. I mean, removing player choice is not a bad thing, but I think there's something about like the older game battles that felt real. It could be me on copium here, but it just felt like the monster attacks when you look at the timing of it, and it reminds me of FF14 in this regard. Like the timing of drinking a potion was so set that the speed in which monsters would turn around and charge at you and how many frames it took for them to arrive to hit you was so well calculated that it was like you're always like, oh man, I timed that well. And if you timed it just a half second late, like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I should not have stopped. And then because you committed, right? I just thought that the balance and everything felt really tight. Like the animation it took you to do the spirit round slash on longsword was not short, but you started to learn if a monster's starting to do its tail swipe, that is a moment I could go into it safely, and I would hit them when they turn around. I like the slower, deliberate stuff that felt. I'm saying balance, but it's not between weapons. It's within the weapon. I just wonder
Yeah, I
if
get
switch
it.
skills make it so that it's one is always superior to the other.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
the
Too much complexity is kind of
no,
a weird thing.
I do feel like I want a lot of things to be simpler, especially coming back to World and having Iceborne turned off. It just feels good to go back to some of the more basic move sets of weapons, and it becomes more about the dance than because like Rise
Yeah.
and Sunbreak, right? A lot of it was about how hard can I keep hitting this monster to the point where I break everything that he's got
Yeah,
and he
it's
can
arcadey.
barely move.
It's
Yeah,
like Devil May Monster.
you're
It was fun.
you're focused, yeah, it's still fun, but you're focusing more on the complexity of your combos than necessarily the dance with the monster. And yeah, I agree, there is something to be said about the simplicity of it all, especially if they're adding new weapons. Yeah, I can see a scenario where I'd be like, yeah, you know what, maybe switch skills is not the best
Yeah.
thing if
You
we're
look at
getting new
World
weapons.
Iceborne now that you're playing through it, and it's like when I went back and I played it a few months ago, just a little bit just to whet the appetite, and
Yeah.
me and took down an Alatreon just to see if we still had it, and we do,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. I think FF14 made us really situationally aware hunters. Like we can see what's going on around us much better now. We can juggle more than two things at once. That's rating for you, but
That was
uh,
definitely the case for me. It's one of the reasons why I was able to adapt to Souls as well as I did was because of my rating background in World of Warcraft, because you're way more situationally aware than,
it's a good skill, yeah.
yeah.
Like, can I do this and do that and move there while looking at a timer or what the monster's doing? It's
Yeah.
fun. But I just felt like in Monster, like in World Iceborne, you still get that feeling of it's really important to observe the monster and what they're doing. Where, like, if a Pookie Pookie is about to spit, you know to get the hell out of the front because it's going to interrupt you if you're going to do an attack.
Yeah.
Where I feel like there's so much freedom of movement and just so much snappiness in Rise Sunbreak that I can care less half the time what the monster's doing. I just look really quick. I see what attack. Oh, it's about to charge. Okay, I'll go behind it and kill it. I'll go to a side and kill it. I'll go above and drop down. There's so much stuff I can do that its movements are not a threat to me whatsoever. It's an arcade game. It's like, okay, well, if he's moving over here two paces, there's 50 things I can do. What do I feel like doing now? And
Yeah.
I like the slower, deliberate, like, okay, I really got to observe this monster. Just because my options are not as many.
Keeping
It gave the weapons more identity, I think. I could be wrong. I'm not against
No,
the switch
I
skills,
agree.
and I hope it doesn't come off like that.
Especially because of one of the other things that you mentioned, which was like the whole counter situation. I do feel like in Rise Sunbreak we got too many counters. Every weapon got a counter, and I like even the hammer had a counter, which is like when you think about, wow, even the hammer gets a counter. That's a weird one. But yeah, I do feel like we had too many counters. But keeping up with the more simplicity thing, what would be your solution for like armor skills? Because we definitely had way too many. Even in World Iceborne, I feel like we had too
Oh,
many.
way too many,
And
yeah.
in Sunbreak, it was so many that like I believe we even talked about how it's easier to say which skills you don't have because you have all
Yeah,
the other
it's-
ones.
It was frontier levels, yeah. It's when you have that many skills where it's that easy to put something on and off. I think everything, just the significance of all that choice just gets watered down so bad. I would really enjoy it if they went back. I do think that they need to find a better system because I think the point system worked for us, but for the majority of people, it was too obtuse.
So you're talking about going back to the old plus 10 points to get
Yeah, I mean,
an
that's what I said.
activation.
I don't mind it, but I know that the mainstream would not like it. It was not a good intuitive system in that
they
regard,
they
but
can just get Athena's ass. It's fine.
just implement it in the game. Armor builder. I mean,
Yeah.
but that was also, I miss that community interaction of people coming up with ideas, right? Like that's gone. Like they completely killed that entire sharing armor sets and stuff. It's like, who cares? Like you can have every skill
Yeah.
on every armor now. It doesn't matter.
By the time you get to end game, you have every skill on every
Yeah.
armor. The
So I
power
miss
creep is maybe too much. Yeah.
Way too much. I would love it if they went back to like 4U levels of like you're gonna have it like even at high rank you had like what like 5 skills maybe
I don't know. I don't remember. It's been too
like 4 or 5 skills like depending on what they were, and the idea that having razor sharp or sharpness plus was like it's one or the other because it was really hard to try to get those both on a set to the point that if you did do it you'd be losing out on other functionality that it would make it pointless. So you actually had to play into the personality of the weapons. Like, yes, a Cantor weapons hit hard, but they are blunt and not sharp. No, you can't just go and make them sharp. No, you can't just do that. You have to work with that. Make a set that plays into that. You know, like, yes, Naruto sets have awesome evasion skills and evasion distance, but does their defense suck? Yes. Or yes, this thing offers you a lot of utility, but do you have really bad elemental weakness? Yes, you do. Deal with it. Like it's the limitations made for such creativity, and every choice made such a palatable difference that you felt it. You know,
Yeah.
like having attack up S and then having that change to a M made a lot of difference. Having putting on part breaker made a huge difference. So I don't know the solution. It's a tough one because I like what they did with World and Iceborne. I thought the system was intuitive. However, there's
too much.
Too many skills.
Yeah, there's
too much.
Too many skill points. I agree. I'm hoping they reel those back. The problem is that with the way that's kind of like the community expectation now. Everybody's expecting, oh, I'm going to jump into Wilds, going to make my attack +7 set with crit boost 3 and critical eye 7, and everybody's expecting it. Everybody's like, no, I'm going to have 3 Wex as fast as I possibly can. It's going to be a bit of a shock if all of a sudden they just go like, no, you get 4 skills and that's it. But I think that for the overall health of the game, it would be much more positive than what we have right now, and it would lead
and I
to
think
much
it'd be
more
better
diversity.
to balance, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like if you had less skills, then you could worry less about, okay, I think the clutch claw was a side effect of that. It's like the hunters can put so many skills on. How do we make it so that they have to do something else? Like they can't just whap away at the feet and legs and it doesn't matter. It's like, well, we got to make weak spots matter. Okay, well, let's make it so that you have to make them really weak spots. And then like I think that was just trying to get over the hump of the fact that they made the hunters too powerful. Way too powerful.
Yeah,
I like not being uber powerful. Like,
but
there's benefit to that.
But the thing is, if they didn't intend for you to be uber powerful, you'd expect them to kind of like correct that in Rise and Sunbreak, and they didn't. They made you even more powerful.
They just said this is an arcade game. This is portable. This is bite size. This is fun. Let's just run with it. So
do you think
I don't mind that they did that, but I don't.
Do you think there's
I think
a
it depends
chance
on the hunt.
Do you think there's a chance that we get less skills this time around on an end game set, let's say?
At this point, I can only hope.
You can hope, but like, do you think there's a chance? Yeah,
I don't know because the last major console game had skill bloat. The last portable game had even worse skill bloat.
Yeah.
There's nothing that tells me that they're going to move away from that. Are they going to at least dial it back to where it was in World? That'd be nice. Do I still feel that's too much? Probably.
Yeah.
But, we'll I don't know at this point. I don't really know what their thought process is on skills.
I think again,
I miss negative skills. I miss the limitations. I miss each choice really mattering and having a significant. Because it's not that.
Like
it's
anybody,
a positive thing, I think, right?
Anybody
like having
that
defense
plays,
of S added made a huge difference. Like it's like that's really good to feel that difference.
Anybody that plays Generations Ultimate will probably know exactly what we're talking about because they've had to work with sets with the limitations that we're talking about. And you can, even on an end game G rank set, you get like 4 skills, 5 skills, something like that, depending on which skills you're trying to get and how heavy you're trying to activate them. You didn't get that much. And if you're getting a lot of skills, usually it'd be because you're sacrificing quite a bit of defense and there's a high chance you're going to get one shot, which again is a good thing. Balance, choices, which means you get really good at something, you suck at something else. It's fine. But
yeah, I hope they. I'm not a fan with how they broke the skills down into so many levels. I think it would be nice if they dialed that back. For example, like evasion +5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like one, two, and three, or even removing three, was fine. Because when there was only two, it was such a jump that you noticed the difference and it made it meaningful. At this point, if I say, hey, what's evasion 3 or 4? You'd be like, whatever. Like, are we sacrificing attack or what? Like, it's not a gameplay affecting decision at that point. Like, 1 or 3, maybe, but not like 3 to 4. Like, you start to lose the nuance of each level.
What about some of the more crazy skills like the mantles or so even like Heaven Sent? Like Heaven Sent, I definitely don't want because Heaven Sent allowed you to just like not sharpen, which to me is like, okay, that's a bit too far. You're straight up removing a mechanic from the game. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, even Sedegios weapons were great because you had to stop attacking and using evades in order to get that effect. It was a balance. Yeah, I mean, I would not mind to see the mantles gone, only for the fact that they proved that they don't know how to balance it. I like the environmental ones. Like, I like the idea of, like, if I'm going into an area and I know there's going to be a lot of thunder, it would be nice to have a thunder cloak. But then again, that kind of ruins the idea of, well, I'm going to fight a lower level thunder monster, and that's going to give me thunder resistance, and then I'll be okay. That takes...
I was talking about Powder Mantle, the skill. I was talking about crazy skills. Powder Mantle's the skill from Teostra.
So
right, that's the explosion.
Mantle, so that's why I don't know.
No, dude. Powder Mantle, it was like the skills of the 3 Elder Dragons. So like you had, I don't even remember all of them, but I think that with Kushala,
I thought when you said mantle, I thought you meant the mantles from
I was talking
World.
about Powder Mantle. Powder Mantle, the skill from Teostra where you hit something a certain amount of times and then a bomb goes off in the monster.
Yeah, it's like, let's give blast element to everything. Yeah.
It's not exactly
we
like
we
that,
all know
but...
how balanced blast was in Monster Hunter 3. Slime.
But what do you think about some of these more advanced skills that like they're basically like the set bonuses? You had them in World and Iceborne as well in some situations.
See, I loved the idea of set bonuses, but then I felt like they went the wrong direction when they started allowing you to get set bonuses without having the set on.
Yeah,
like
with the curious
they flat out, well, even in Iceborne, they flat out invalidated sets, saying, like, you can put on, what was it, like the Diablo skill or something? Like, it was a whole set bonus, but then you can just get it as a decoration or something. And it's like,
right, yeah, like that was like the Legiana skill, which had the mighty shot, for instance, or whatever it was.
They end up invalidating 90% of the armor in that game because it was just too weak.
Yeah,
and the skills and the power of the armor actually was quite insignificant. It was more about the decorations you had, which I did not like. Sunbreak made it worse. They said, okay, you know what? Every set's probably fine, or at least you can transmog and do all that, but you always just ended up using the strongest one, and it all depended on your decorations, right? And your charms of what you had. I don't know. I liked the armor being more meaningful. I really miss that.
Yeah, that's kind of like that's kind of like the point that we're making. So, real quick,
looking ugly as hell, I'm not a fan of. I think transmog needs to be introduced very early in the game because holy shit,
transmogs
walking around with the Basarios like chest piece and like Plesioth legs or some shit. Like, you would look so ganky, but you'd be like, this is what peak performance looks like.
I still remember when I was using some Rurikhan set and I was showing it to a friend of mine, and he just shows up in my stream and goes,
Lord.
Like, it looks like a dung beetle made love to a pineapple, and that's what came out of it.
Oh man.
But while we're on the topic of the decos earlier, what do you want to have now that you have time to think about it? RNG decos or RNG charms? The age-old question. You know that I polled my stream the other day on this topic, and it got split right down the middle.
I need to actually think about this
It
to give
was
a good answer.
it was like 59.
RNG decos.
I think that by the end it was like 58 or 59% towards charms. But it was split down the middle, like 59, 58. That's not like absolute majority, right? So a lot of people, they still prefer what happened with World, where you were hunting for RNG decos. Now, me personally, I remember what I said, which was like, dude, 1,000,000% always give me RNG charms, because what I've been thinking about
Sunbreak kind of betrayed us and said, hey, a charm is only 2 skills. And they're like, no, it ain't. A charm in that game is a full skill set. That's a full armor. You could have like 8 skills with just the damn charm, because it's got like how many levels, it's got how many slots for decorations. It was its own full armor set. So I think it changed the conversation a lot, because
the amount of stuff
charms were never like that before.
Yeah,
and
it was really powerful.
having. I don't like charms being a full armor set, because at that point it really does make whatever you have on, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. As long as it has got the slots, who cares?
I feel like we're two old men, and we're just like, hey, we want our character to not be as powerful, okay?
No, we want player choice to matter, is what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
And we want monster parts to matter, and monster
like
attributes to matter.
Using like Rurikhan would mean like, oh, you're going for the fences, you're going for guard and guard up, and nowadays it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean nothing. So and hell, even though the guard defense weapons are now like, oh, you can play it as a counter aggressive, preemptive weapon now if you want to. It's like everything just starts to, the identity gets muddled, I think.
Yeah.
I want to see the identity come back, both from monster parts, armor, and weapons. Decorations, I loved what they did in 4 Ultimate. I thought it was perfect. I think they nailed it with Sunbreak as well, and the idea that the skills were greatly associated with a monster that had that kind of feel. So like the rage or whatever would be a decoration from, using parts from
I'm not sure if I like
the Rajang or whatever.
I'm not sure if I like the way in which they did progression, because it felt like every patch would invalidate the farm that you did on the previous one.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. It shouldn't feel like that. I mean,
you can
have it by rank, but that's only because you're unlocking new materials. So yes, it would make it natural that it would unlock. But that one was more like, no, we're just, you had a timed window where you got it or you didn't, and now we're going to make it available to all.
It was even weird because of the fact that, like, okay, so we know that during this period, this armor set is going to be very important because you can't get this skill anywhere else. But then it's like, oh, but now there's an update and that skill is in a deco. And it's like, so what you're saying is this armor set is useless now because it just doesn't give you the skill anymore. I didn't like the way that ended up being, where each armor set kept getting invalidated over and over and over. I feel like in Iceborne, I would make a build. That build would last for a long time, at least until Fatalis came out. And that was just like, well, all the builds are 4-piece Fatalis now, so enjoy. 4-piece Fatalis plus something random that you want, and that's it. That's every single build in the game. But yeah, I'm hoping that stuff is more meaningful. We ended up not answering the question, like, where do you land? Charms or decos? RNG?
Oh. Neither. If it's the current deco and the current charm system, I don't want either. I don't know how better to answer it, because I don't. When they're that meaningful, I think it.
Neither of them can be RNG, is what you're saying.
I don't like them as RNG, no. I would rather them be harder to craft than to have them be RNG. I'd rather the RNG be more on the monster drops than to be on that. Like, if you want that attack up deco, make it a bitch to make. Like, just say, okay, you need a gem from Rathalos and you need a gem from Rathian, and you need, I don't care. Like, go crazy all you want for that. That gives you an in-game goal to work towards. There's RNG with the drops with the monsters. There you go. But if you work hard enough, you're going to get it. RNG is just like, yeah, you're either screwed or you're not. I mean,
Yeah, I was so
and
unlucky
then when it's
with
that
charms.
significant, it's just like, bro, it's like I can't get it. So it's like there's like it reminds me of, what was it, the bow plus skill, where in World, where you either had an entire charge level on your bow or you didn't because of a deco.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
I know.
ridiculous.
There was a huge power creep with that deco.
So
Yeah.
I think I want to see them rethink both the charm and the deco system and focus them more on monster parts and hunting. I think 4U was a good balance because the decorations felt balanced, and you had the charms were RNG, but they only contributed like 1.5 skills to your set, if that. So I thought they were a great way to augment your choices, and it could open. And because it was so limited with the plus and minus system, like you'd say, I got this really awesome charm, but now I can finally pair that horrible leg that has that one skill, and it can offset it a little bit, but it was never broken, right? Where now it's just like, we're already full, and you're just giving us dessert upon a dessert. It's just too much. So I don't know how to answer it because I'm not happy with either of the systems right now.
Yeah, thinking about it, I kind of feel the same way.
It was when you
it's like
asked
if I
me
had
about it before, I told you, I was like, charms for sure, because it only
Yeah.
affects 2 skills. And then they said, no, charms are now just like decorations. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know anymore.
Charms did become quite brutal. If I
One
had
thing
to choose, I would still probably go charms because you can still get more skills off of decos, even if your charm is a little bit on the sucky side. You can maybe like, okay, let's get like 2 slots in there and then figure it out from there. But yeah, decos. I remember the struggle that it was when I couldn't get like a guard up, and I was like, bro, I just need a guard up, or the magazine deco. I was like, come on, man,
Yeah.
I just need these things.
They did a step in the right direction with Rise Sunbreak, with the idea of melding charms and being able to have a high probability of getting that skill that you wanted. So the slots and the other skill may have been shit, but if there was a concept set that you wanted to make, you could do it. Like you can ask them to forge a charm that would have guard up or guard plus or something, right? That I thought was a cool idea. Maybe they just need to remove decoration slots from charms. Maybe that'll solve it. I don't know.
We'll see. Followers, do you want them back?
Yes, absolutely.
No.
Really? Wow.
I don't want followers back. Listen, I think that followers was a cool experiment when they had follower quests. I kind of feel like once this was something that I liked because again, for the game that was Rise Sunbreak, I was like, yes, and here, sure, followers, let's go. But like for the next Monster Hunter, I'm like, no, I would rather not. I would rather it be more around play multiplayer if you want to play with other people. Because
how do you feel about the trust system in Final Fantasy XIV?
That's different because it's like when it comes to that, that's not really a challenging thing. Doing a dungeon, is it really challenging to do a dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV?
Hunting a monster? I mean, I guess what you're saying is this would be like a boss, a trial.
Yeah, like
you don't get NPCs there.
Yeah, just get NPCs for a trial, right? It's like I mean, you do have that in one of the Endwalker trials, but
yeah, I mean, I think it's good as an option. Maybe they just need to balance it more so that it's like solo hunting is no longer a viable option. Where it's like it always makes better sense to use NPCs with you. That would be kind of sad because there's a beauty to the solo hunt experience.
No, it's just like the monster needs to scale. If you're gonna put in followers, the monster it can't be like it is right now, where I'm just gonna bring 2 followers and the monster's scaled for 1 player.
Oh, is that what it is? Because I'll admit, I have
that's
not.
That's how it works.
I've done a lot of follow requests and I love them.
Yeah.
But I did not know that it didn't. That makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't scale. I mean,
I don't like that.
Here's the thing. It's great for investigations, because investigations are insane. The scaling on investigations goes through the roof as the numbers start going up, right? So having followers for that is cool. But like for regular quests, it was a bit much. Like followers just shred.
Oh, I
stuff.
did not know that. So
Yeah.
that
So it's like,
yeah, I would agree with you then.
I like
I don't
followers.
think remove them, but I would change that. Yeah.
I
If you're
like
using them, there should be a demerit.
I like followers. I like follower quests. I don't want them in every quest. Let's put it like that. So it's like, yeah, make followers come back, have follower quests, and you can grind monsters using followers. But then you also have your regular quests where you either go by yourself or you go with another player.
Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah.
And that would also present more gameplay opportunities for if someone really wanted to do most of the game with followers, then there would be unlock quests or conditions in order to unlock a hunt against a certain monster with a follower. And that's its own progression and satisfaction right there.
Yeah, I like followers as its own separate system. I think
I did not know that it didn't scale at all. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I would have expected, like initially when they were released, I was like, oh, they probably scale it to like half of a player or something.
Yeah.
So you got
like
two,
at least
two
like
followers,
2 followers. It follows. It's like two human players, right?
2 human player stuff.
Nope.
But yeah, that's not what they did.
Oof. And there's no penalty if they die, right?
No, because they don't actually die. You pick them back up.
Yeah. So in that case, I almost think they need to flip it. So if you want to fight with followers, it should actually scale a little bit harder than with normal humans because there's an advantage there.
So I'm gonna bring up a couple of community questions to wrap us up.
Yes.
I know that there were a lot of questions, guys. I wasn't able to get all of them, and both me and Gaijin I'm super sleepy. Gaijin's barely woken up, so cut us some slack here. So would you like Wild's event quests to remain how they were, weekly scheduled in World, but have those collaborations with big franchises, have them like Rise, where they were dropped indefinitely, or a mixture of both? That was kind of confusing. What he's saying is, do you want the event quest to be like a scheduled system that has FOMO, so it goes away after a while, or they want them to be permanent like they were in Rise?
There's pros and cons to both, but I would say, especially as an adult, father, parent, having time-limited stuff sucks.
Yeah.
I think it also
The thing is,
incentivizes the developers to give you very good rewards for it, because there's got to be something to miss out from, right?
He puts the qualifier in there that now I understand better, which is the quests in World had more meaningful collabs, whereas the Rise stuff didn't have as much collabs as World did. So it's like FOMO type quests, but with bigger rewards, or permanent quests, but with lesser rewards. That's a tough one.
Yeah, if it has to be, it's a more nuanced take. But if we have to be more dry cut about it, I don't like the scheduled one, even though there was a fun community element to it, right?
Yeah.
Like it wasn't hard to queue in for it because people were doing it because it was only available that week or two. I mean, there might be a way to balance it so that, there are some time limited ones, but most event quests are just added to the game. I don't know. But I think if you're going to do anything time limited, don't go mobile game on it. Like, don't give me just a weekend or a week. Like, make it a 2-week thing or a 3-week thing. Something
they were usually...
It's not a subscription service, right?
They usually gave us like 2 weeks, I think. Wasn't it like 2 weeks?
But then again, there's the problem of like, when you play it later, if you started later, like when you make things limited, I think you just have a tendency to make the rewards too good. And that makes it like a huge disadvantage of not playing. Like there was points during Iceborne, I think, like, what was it, during a festival, all the event quests were available?
Yes, there were several festivals where they did that.
I was going to play the game and I just said, no, I'm not going to play it. It'll be better for me to just wait for the festival that's upcoming. That's bad. Like, why am I being discouraged from playing this game? That's not a good thing.
It's a weird one. It's like, I'm still very indecisive. This was from Beanie 7170, by the way. I need to tell
the
people
in-game. I wouldn't call them events, but like the sieges, I understand being like these 2 weeks is Safi, these 2 weeks are Kulve, Taroth. Like that made sense because they need a way to funnel the online community so that there's actual people to do the event. And there was a set schedule and it wasn't extreme, right? Like that made sense to me. But the event quests, like maybe they just need to get, instead of having a really bad rank progression system, maybe they should just fix that instead of giving these band-aid quests that say, hey, this one gives you 10 times the amount of rank points than a normal quest, or this gives you 20 times more. Like that's a band-aid solution in my opinion.
If I had to choose between the two things, curiously enough, I think I would actually go back to the FOMO quests because of the community aspect.
The community aspect was
the
fun.
community
I mean,
aspect
there's no
was
denying
a
that.
lot of fun. Now, the problem with that is that some of those quests eventually go away as well. So, like, for instance, the Assassin's Creed quest, that's gone. And that had a mantle associated with it.
Yeah.
And that's gone. Like, there's people that will never get to have that. And it's
collaboration
weird.
quests should probably stick to aesthetics only.
Yeah. I don't know what the proper solution is, because I feel like everybody's going to have a different answer. But for me, if I had to choose between these two, I would choose the FOMO ones because I do miss that more community aspect of it.
Yeah,
because like a lot of the times,
health and stuff like that, I think it was good.
Because a lot of the times what ended up happening with a lot of the events in Sunbreak was I didn't even do it. I logged in, downloaded it, didn't even grind it. I was like, well, I'll grind it later.
Well, there's so many, like you don't even know why to do them or what they were for.
There's tons of them. So then I have one from Castle Kragnizab 2163. This one's just for me. Should Blast Dash be a permanent addition to Gunlance or a Rise Sunbreak exclusive? Well, for starters, it wouldn't be an exclusive because Blast Dash was in Generations Ultimate. But I'm actually conflicted on this one. It's weird. I'm conflicted because like I love Blast Dash. Blast Dash is amazing, but at the same time, Blast Dash is one of those super arcadey features, especially the way in which it was implemented in Rise Sunbreak, where it's like Blast Dash, then mid-air Blast Dash again, and then mid-air Blast Dash a third time. It's like, bro, I loved Blast Dashing, aerial shelling, and then, what was it called? Hail Cutter down on a monster. It was beautiful, but it's also super arcadey. So, to me...
it's also taking the downfall of the weapon and it's completely erasing it, right?
Yeah.
The limited mobility aspect, it's like, nope.
So, to me, it's like, I would love to see Blast Dash, but I would want it to be like one blast.
Portable series? One blast, okay.
Yeah, you get like one blast, that's it. You get one gap closer, that's it. Like, you know, that would be kind of like a cool compromise because it would be more grounded and it wouldn't be as arcade as like, boom, 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 Blast Dash everywhere. And it's amazing. And here's the thing, it's beautiful. And in the next Monster Hunter, I want it to be even worse. I want it to just like, bro, I can Blast Dash 3 times now. I want to Blast Dash for as long as I have shells. And I know that there's a mod that does that or whatever, but we don't really do mods. But like, you know, I want to Blast Dash even harder, but that's on the next game. For this one, it's either no Blast Dash or one blast. That's the way that I would go about with Gunlance. I don't know if you have a different opinion on that or...
I would just love, again, I think I crave the pro and cons of choices. So
yeah,
I don't know what the con is, but I think thinking about it logically, it'd be cool if the gun lance, being like the lance, which is not super mobile, but has explosive power. What if there's a trade-off? Like you could do a blast dash and it's like really powerful, but for like the next 30 seconds, your gun is overheated. You can't do shelling. You
can't do Wyvern Fire. It shares a
something
cooldown
like
with
that,
Wyvern Fire
because it's heated, you know. So there's a trade-off. You can do it. It's powerful, so there's a benefit, but there's also a con that you have to work around. Like that would work for me.
Or it consumes your Wyvern stake. That'd be another disadvantage because it requires a regular reload as opposed to something like that. Yeah. Okay. Next up from Kitsu Leaf. Do you think Monster Hunter Wilds will finally introduce a new Black Dragon after almost 15 years? Gaijin's gears are turning. No, I know. Gaijin's gears are turning.
I traditionally would have said no. But the fact that they've now moved away from keeping those as such like a big secret and so wonderful and like all that kind of stuff, and I think Fatalis is overdone. Like I don't want him back. I was really disappointed for him being the last boss in Stories 2 thing, that because it was the same in Stories 1. Like there was no difference. Like I'm tired of him.
Okay.
Dia Morales needs to come back still. But would it?
He's talking specifically about a new one.
The Black Dragon, right?
A new Black
Dragon.
Dragon.
I mean, but the whole idea of the Black Dragon was that they were so rare that they were mistaken as the legendary dragon of ages past, right? So they everyone thought it was like Fatalis, oh, the Black Dragon. But no, this was actually Alatreon, but it's a Black Dragon. So would they introduce a new type of like super duper mythical tough ass monster? Normally I would say I think they're done with that arc, but I mean if they're not committed to adding in new weapons for a decade now, I could see them like using it as a crutch to say, hey, we can get some really good excitement if we say there's a new Black Dragon. Do I think they would call it a Black Dragon? It's tough to say. I mean, the term Black Dragon probably should be retired. If I had a bit money on it, I would say they wouldn't. But if they did, it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay.
I guess that's a real cop out answer. How about you? What do you think?
I have no idea if they'll introduce a new Black Dragon or not, because back in the day I didn't play as much of the old games because I couldn't do content on them. So the proper first Black Dragon that I did was like Fatalis. So not Fatalis.
Yeah, mine was
Alatreon. Yeah. But
and third generation Alatreon was so hard that when I finally did Fatalis, I was like, what a letdown. This dude is so stupid. He's so derpy with his long neck and head and repeating the same 4 attacks.
Loafer 5741, do you think Wilds could do with more unique armor skills that semi-majorly change how you approach combat, like Frostcraft, Frenzy, Blood Awakening, Dereliction, Sneak Attack? I find these types of skills more fun, interesting than used than going for Attack Plus or Affinity Plus builds. Personally, I think so, but I still want them to have very limited amounts of skills, like we're talking about, maybe 4 or 5 skills. But having some of these more interesting skills that potentially even the ones that used to like combine stuff, like we had some of those in Generations where it's like, oh, you have this EX Diablos combines like 2 skills or something. But the thing is it removes customization. So like you're taking on the aspects of this monster, but that means that you're also limited and you can't like customize the build to what you like. It's like here are the skills this monster has, take them or leave them. You can't customize it. I would actually like to see more like that, because then you would have the disadvantages and you would be embodying the armor of the monster. That would be cool. Yeah. So you can still do custom sets.
Unique skills I would dig. I would pray that they would balance it. And I think the way to do that is to make them not be the flagship skills, like the armor skills. Like it shouldn't be game changing, but it should be interesting enough to make it a play style choice.
Yeah.
God, when you said that, I had this really stupid idea that just popped in my head. It's so dumb. I don't even want to mention it, but I'll do anyway. I was just thinking, like, imagine if you had like, there was like a Devil Joe set where, like, the caveat was that you had to eat meat every 3 minutes. Otherwise, something would happen. But when you ate it, like, for the next 60 seconds, you were buffed or something. I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking, like, how creative can they get with skills, right?
That feels like super maintenance heavy. I wouldn't use that.
I know, but that's why I said it was a stupid thought, but something that came to mind.
Space Dog D tried sending in a bunch of questions. Like, no, you get one question. I picked one, so they're just letting you know. But Final Fantasy XIV related, what do you think of more 4-man content moving forward? Personally, I enjoyed variant Criterion dungeons with the fact that it's so much easier to organize 4-man content.
Hells yeah. Absolutely.
There you go.
Totally agree. I do think that they need more variation, because I think right now the 4-man content for the. I mean, technically, the variant dungeons are not 4-man content. That's actually soloable content, so you don't even need 4 people. So I'm just thinking Criterion, and Criterion Savage I think is ridiculously hard. I don't know if even 1% of the community would even engage with it. Have it there, sure, but I think there needs to be. I would love to see 4-man, like level 90 dungeons are dungeons. They're not hard, right? But like having like 4-man extremes is fun. Having 4-man savage would be dope. I think what we have right now is something weirdly in between harder than extreme or easier than savage, or you have ultimate level difficulty. It's like I want that to be shifted back towards the normal difficulty curve so we can do like 4-man extreme trials and 4-man savage, proper savage difficulty, not ultimate difficulty.
What I personally want is I want Mythic Plus in the game, and that's not, that's what I thought Criterion was going to be, but Criterion is just like 4-man rating, and I was like, no, I wanted Mythic Plus, which is different, and it's a scaling progression type of thing that it's in World of Warcraft. But yeah, imagine. But
I would say, as someone who's done all the organization, though, it is much easier to organize.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I really, 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 really wanted to do the Epic of Alexander this year. It's not possible. I can't get 8 people. So,
anyway, Her Evil Twin says, is there even a tiny possibility that you guys could continue to do Third Fleet episodes even when there isn't any Monster Hunter related stuff to talk about? I love you guys and would listen to this podcast if you're just talking about random stuff. Life as a family man, whatever. Doesn't have to be gaming related. Stay strong, stay safe, and happy hunting. It's like it's rough because it's like, look, we talk about stuff, but overall the central theme of the podcast is always going to be Monster Hunter, I feel like, because that's like our expertise and that's kind of like the identity of the podcast. Yeah. Sometimes we talk about other things as well, but it's always going to have to be about Monster Hunter, I feel like. That's the whole thing about the Third Fleet. Yeah, that's where I'll land with that.
It's in the name.
Yeah, it's in the name. That's pretty much the way it goes. AB2DII467. I know you guys are mostly excited to talk about Monster Hunter Me 2, but what are your plans for Dragon's Dogma 2? You're going to cover it once it comes out, or you're going to cover some Dragon's Dogma 1 in preparation? I'm not playing Dragon's Dogma 1 again. I've played it like 4 or 5 times by now. Gaijin probably. I mean, okay, Gaijin played it even more than me. But
yeah, I have at least I mean, then again, I started doing the speed run mode, which is its own weird thing. It's not an actual speed run. It's more like how much can you set up the game so that you can do the critical path really fast. And I got my under 25 minutes, and I was really happy with that. So
Jesus Christ.
Like I said, it's not quite the same as a normal speed run thing, but I played that game way too many times. But I think so. I'm not going to go back and play 1 because I've done it on every system I can think of. But 2, do you plan on doing a lot of content for 2?
Oh yeah. Like, I'm going to do full blind playthrough, probably going to do a couple of beginner's guides once I get my feet wet in there, and then we'll see what else happens. But yeah, that's one of my big games. I've decided that like for next year I have like, I think 5 games. Those are like the big ones because there's already very much like 2023. There's already like 20 or 30 games that I want to play. But I was like, no, there's these 5 games that I have a video that I talk about that will probably be up later in the channel. But those are the 5 games that I'm covering over everything else. And then in between there, I'll play some other stuff. But Dragon's Dogma 2 is one of those big 5 games. So yes, 100%.
Yeah, for me, I would love to make videos, but I know that I'm not going to be able to get as deep as someone like Ruri or what's his name who does the Dragon Dogma 1 videos? Nihilism or...
I don't know. Is it the guy that does a bunch of...
I want to give a proper shout out here because like he's awesome. So hang on.
Is it the guy that does like... I think I've seen some of his stuff. He does like a zillion different builds of Dragon's Dogma, right?
It's amazing. Nihil 0.0.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're listening, but if you are a god of niche Dragon's Dogma content. Love you. Hope you do 2 videos, but like... There's enough people who have that covered for like the builds, the different type of meta, because there's so much stuff you could do in that game.
Oh yeah.
So I think if I can create something that's meaningful because one of my best performing videos, and I mean performing as in not metrics, but in like helpful for people, was my beginner's guide for Dragon's Dogma, getting started, like the first 2 hours, and because the game really did not explain things very
Yeah,
well.
it
I
doesn't do a
think
good job of letting people in.
any areas I think where I can try to take something that's daunting or hard to understand and serve it to people so that they can get into the game easier, I think that's going to be where I would be motivated to make a video. So I think, like, not exploits, but like early farming or really good weapons that can help have a less stressful playthrough, understanding certain mechanics and stuff like that. I think that's the type of stuff I would love to do videos on. But as far as like the complex builds, story impressions, blah, 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 I will leave that to much more qualified people. But I can't wait.
Okay. Antonio Cunningham, with Rise Sunbreak being completed, what's y'all's take on it? For me, the gameplay loop Rise Sunbreak is my favorite in the series. They also have an amazing monster roster. However, Monster World Iceborne have the most immersion. Now, me personally, I prefer Monster Hunter World because of the immersion factor and the fact that's just a little bit simpler and, it's a more deliberate, it's my preferred playstyle. But what I really like is the rhythm that they're going into, where it's like, okay, we have this more deliberate type of playstyle, and then the next game is we just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, see what works. I like the contrast between both of them. So I think it's a
So
good thing that we have two styles.
this is a point I wanted to ask you about because it's all just wording, I think, but I've noticed that you and a lot of people, and probably myself as well, to a degree, used to call it like the deliberate, slower, like numbered titles, and then you had the more experimental portable series.
Yes.
I think, at least for me, one of the things that's getting lost in that wording, and I think is really crucial to why it's like that, is that the portable series games are meant to be portable. I think that influences the game direction more than anything. I think the reason why they're faster, they're more arcadey, they're more experimental, bite-sized, more freedom, less immersion, whatever. I think it has to do with they're designed as portable experiences, which means the average hunt time, 10 minutes. The average time around town, not much, just maintenance or getting some armor or something. Like, the games are designed with a portable mindset, and I know that portable gaming has not been a thing in the West for a long time, but in Japan it remains very strong. And there's certain tenets to game design that are driven by the idea of portability versus sit down and play sessions. So I don't think it's necessarily a deliberate choice on their end to say, okay, this is the portable team, so to say. This is their game, so let's make it experimental. Let's go crazy with it. Because I mean, if you think about it, the number titles are just as experimental if you look at their previous titles to them. They're if anything, sometimes they're even more because they do so much to the world setting. They might introduce verticality, swimming. Like, these are huge changes, right?
Yeah.
I think the big difference is because it's a portable title, and that they stress that a lot in the interviews with Ichinose when he was tasked to make Rise. He's like, I want a new, great, portable Monster Hunter. And so the portable nature drives those decisions. So I think I would like to. I'm saying the same thing. Like, it's the Street Fighter Alpha to Street Fighter. It's the experimental one versus the more mainline is a stupid word, and people are fighting over that and spin-off. And Capcom uses terminology different than we do, but they're all mainline. In Capcom's terminology just means it takes place in the Monster Hunter universe, which means they're all mainline games. So that's a whole nother discussion, but like, I think the difference here is play session length assumptions. So I do hope they continue it as well. I love the portable approach, especially with Ichinose and his deliberate choice to focus on animals as one of the ways to differentiate it from the sit down console experience. I love that. So Prowlers for the Monster Hunter Portable 6, please. Prowlers. Hell, just make a Prowler
So-
game. Outsource it. I don't care.
So
Come on, I want a Prowler game.
we're basically in the same boat, which is
We
like
are in agreement,
enjoy-
and I'm just trying to cry.
Yeah.
I would like to point out the terminology here.
We enjoy the contrasting experiences of both. So
I want an MMO. I wouldn't mind I want different expressions of Monster Hunter. I love Monster Hunter, you know?
Yeah.
It would be cool to have some experimental, true spin-off titles, like Stories was awesome. Give me an MMO. Give me, I played the Chinese one. It was pretty fun. I didn't understand a lot of it, but, like, there was promise there. Give me give me a turn-based Monster Hunter. I don't know. Like, I just want Monster Hunter.
Turn-based Monster Hunter. Interesting. Okay, so next up from Logado, would you like
Cooking
the narrative?
Simulator.
Would you like the narrative in Wilds to be more expansive, or do either of you prefer the more vague, basic, the story is yours to write style that the series has had in the past? I personally don't want narrative to take center stage. I want to have like a good plot and story, but I don't need it to take center stage. Like a couple of cutscenes here and there, but
Yeah.
That's the way that I look at it.
Amen. I will give my stamp on that as well.
Yeah. Imar Condes M, what are your favorite designs for your three main weapons? I mean, he says like, okay, whatever three weapons you play the most. So in my case, that would be...
Are there three?
I mean, because you play so many different weapons, that's the problem.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
So for me...
half the roster is my main.
Yeah, for me it would be Gun Lance, Charge Blade, and Sword and Shield. So very quickly it would be, like just off the top of my head, I'll give you some of my favorite, not the absolute favorite designs, because I can't even remember some of those, but like one that I really enjoyed, Tobi Kadachi Gun Lance, I think is absolutely gorgeous. Rathalos Charge Blade, the one from Monster Hunter World, I also think is absolutely gorgeous. And then for the Sword and Shield, I forget which one was my favorite one with Sword and Shield. There were a lot of versions of Sword and Shield that I enjoyed. I might have to go with Silver Rathalos. I really like that one. Silver Rathalos is really cool, but I also like the Nergigante one because it's an axe. Actually, I think I'd go with Nergigante. Yeah, Nergigante Sword and Shield is really good. So those would probably be like three of my favorite designs. Not the absolute favorite, but like the first ones that come to mind.
Off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think I would have to, because I do play a lot of weapons, but I think Insect Glaive, Lance, and Sword and Shield are probably my most played. Switch Axe, like just behind that. Along with some other weapons, but those would be the three if I choose them. And if I want to choose just something iconic that came to mind right away, for the Insect Glaive, it's Dalamadur, probably. I love the design of the Insect Glaive for Dalamadur. If you like Google it, it's crazy. It's really cool. Sword and Shield, I actually like Teoshira's iconic one.
Oh yeah, Teo one looks really good as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's just, to me, super iconic. And for Lance, I love just the good old, I don't know how they're pronouncing it these days. Tigrex Lance. It's just a nice freaking pointed, it's just a point. You know what I mean? It feels like a Spartan, with it's just a nice, really pointed, menacing, basic geometrical shape.
Yeah.
Tigrex Lance with a very pointy edge. I like it.
Whenever I think of Lance, I instantly just jump into the Basel Lance. The Basel Lance was just a big, thick, round shield, and then that pointy. It's really good. But yeah. Sulfonix asks, does Gaijin plan on making his weapon tutorials for Wilds? His old ones were a massive heap of insanely useful knowledge. He goes over everything separately. I watch his tutorials to this day.
I would really want to, yeah.
Gaijin. You want to, but it's
I want
rough.
to. I really want to. I like the other games. I will focus on the weapons I play the most, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I think I really want to. I mean, that's my goal. I'll say my
Yeah.
my plan currently, yes, is to make weapon tutorials. If I make anything, I think that is where I can do the most help, because there's so many different ways to approach explaining a weapon
Yep.
and how to use it and the dynamics.
It's
And I enjoy the thought exercise of going through it myself and figuring
it's
out. Because I
actually
mean,
it's actually super interesting because sometimes people might think, oh, you guys are kind of like competing for the weapon tutorials, and
no.
nothing showed me more that is not the case than when I released my Charge Blade tutorial for Monster Hunter World. Because I remember that I did my tutorial, I spent like whole day working on it, and then like I think it was somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour before I was ready to release my tutorial, Eric's releases his.
Well, it's great because everyone's
And
got
I-
a different approach, and
I was
it's-
like, oh no. People are just going to think I copied it off of him. Oh my God. Because like at the time I was not even known for Monster Hunter that much at the time. Like I was more known for Dark Souls. Like Monster Hunter World is kind of like how I kind of, the channel kind of exploded. So I was so insecure because Eric's released his, and his had like a million times more production value than mine. But I was like, well, I made it. Might as well release it. So
Yeah.
so we basically released it on the same day. But I was like, oh, this is going to go terrible. It's going to get no views. Nobody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to hate me. And it was completely the opposite. There were a lot of people that were like, hey, there was a lot of people that preferred Eric's way. And there was also some people that preferred my way of explaining it. So it was cool. It was like, oh, thank God. Didn't go as bad as I thought it was going to.
Yeah, one of my regrets is some of the past games I weren't able to do guides on all the weapons, and I really want to do it for Wilds. I think because, like, thanks to the comment, like, as well, like, people watch these things regardless if it's week 1 or week 2. It's always
It's
helpful.
evergreen content, yeah.
That really motivates me to say, I may not be able to chase it like everyone else because I'm so busy, but I should, I learned the weapons by doing those guides, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's not me just going like, hey guys, I know how to play this. I'm going to show you. Like, there's so much experimentation and research that goes into those that you end up learning the weapon much better yourself just by making those videos. So the process was really fun. And yeah, I plan to make weapon guides. I think that'd be great.
For me, here's what I can tell you straight off the bat. No ranged weapons. Everything else probably will cover it, but no ranged weapons. I don't know how to play ranged weapons. It's just like I just don't know how to play them properly. I don't even like playing them that much. And it's always about, which ammunition should you be using? Like whenever I do my weapon reviews, when I get to the bowguns, guys, I always say, look, guys, I'm just gonna tell you if it looks nice or not, okay? Because all of these things, like, this one has auto reload on, I don't know, sleep ammo, is like, okay, that's great. Like I don't know what I would do with that, but that's fine. So it's like the ranged weapons, not really my thing, but melee weapons, I will do as much as I possibly can. And yes, that includes the longsword.
Your favorite weapon?
Yes. Fulminous for the last question. Do you think there's any chance they go towards a pre-world style of skills? This is actually what we talked about, meaning that is more difficult to get skills and potentially having to handle more drawbacks and just lower resistances to a particular element. Well, what I can tell you is that we definitely hope so. Whether that's going to be the case or not, we don't know. We just don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this episode of the Third Fleet Podcast. This is the last episode of 2023.
This year, man, it went by so fast.
Yeah, it's insane.
Crazy.
So, happy holidays to everybody. Hope you get to spend some time with your family. If you didn't, hopefully at least spending some time with us helped you in some way. Hang in there.
The old man in me has to remind everybody, if you can't see your family, this goes to people who have family that they care about. I know some people grow apart from their family or don't have really supportive parents, which is unfortunate. But for those of you who do have family you love and love you, if you can't go see them, at least give them a call.
Yeah, give him a call.
Do a FaceTime. Do a mess. It means the world. I lost my father this year, and it just, every day I didn't do a video call tells me that was a day I lost. I didn't get to talk to him. So it's kind of sad when you think about it, but I want it to remain positive that you have people around that you love. It's make the effort to reach out and talk to them. As cliche as it sounds, or, oh, it's the holidays, just calling to say hi and I love you. It makes a big difference, and I think is part of what life's all about. So whether it's family or friends, make sure you do that this holiday.
I didn't know that you were going to make that public, because I don't think you had spoken about that publicly.
No.
Yeah, up until this point. Yeah, because I was already aware of this. Yeah, do speak with your family. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know how much time we have left on this mode of dust, but let's enjoy it while we're here and make the most of it, right?
Yeah. So everybody, stay strong.
Take that as a positive thing.
Yeah. Happy holidays. Thank you all very much for hanging out. We'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong. Stay safe.
And happy hunting.